Well, hello, friends. Glad you could join us. Welcome to the final round of the CCRL Elite Tier season. And boy, have we got a good one for you tonight. 100% Grand Prix weekend. Got full quali, got the full race, and we have a driver championship battle within 7 points of the top two. That's right. Soxy, our current championship leader, only leads Reimer by 7 entire points. That could very well be the difference between first and second place. So essentially, what Reimer needs for this Grand Prix, he needs, I believe, at least to win the race and have the fastest lap and have Soxy finish second in order to be able to win the championship tonight. If I just look again at the race results page to confirm this for me. Basically, yeah, I mean, it is just a dead heat between the two. And it should be a fantastic race. Again, Reimer needs to outscore. Well, he needs to outscore Soxy by 8 points total to be able to win the championship. Okay, now if he does get to 7 points, I believe he does lose based on the tiebreaker, which is wins. But so 17 cars on track for tonight. 100% distance Grand Prix, full qualifying session, as you can see. So this first session here, I hate to say it, really not going to be kind of a be-all, end-all session for all but 15 of these guys. Essentially, what we're going to be looking at here is a lot of these guys are just going to be using this session here as more of a practice. Okay, we are still cutting 2 people from the qualifying session. We are still getting rid of 2. All same rules apply as in a regular Q1, Q2, Q3. But this first one here, really, we're just going to be... All you need to do for this session is pretty much exist. That's the name of the game. Exist, don't crash, just put together some times, and you'll be all right. Because if you do crash in these sessions, and whether or not you've made the cutoff or not, you do not get to go to the next session instead of time. So let's say we've got R. Manson and Owa are our final 2, just for gits and shiggles right now. If R. Manson and Owa are our 2 cars eliminated, but DWCJ retires from the qualifying session, he will not advance to Q2. So these guys here, basically what they just need is to, again, exist. Put together some laps, put together some good laps. You don't need to fully send it. You just need to go out on track and exist. But again, full race, full qualifying session. Have a second with you now. Crack your cold ones open with me. And there you go. DWCJ will be our... Oh, that tastes a little weird, I'll be honest with you. DWCJ will be our first driver round for a timed attempt as he's making his way now through Sector 3. And there's been a lot of talk, at least I bring this up a lot when we always visit this tracks in the various leagues that I do. I never did before think that this track was capable of holding a good season finale. I think with these renovations made, it's done phenomenal. As Hemphead has been disqualified from the session for blocking the pit lane. That is one of our 2 eliminated drivers already here in Q1. But DWCJ, through the first couple of corners, he's taken a lot of the curb on the way out, up the hill through 2 and 3. This is where it gets messy here. These cars become very unsettled at the crest of the hill going through turn 3. Down the hill, turn 4 on the exit, turn 5 here into the hairpin at Ferrari World. Used to be the awkward chicane going in there. They've fixed that, not anymore. It's actually a fun corner now. Good little braking zone to try to get yourself around somebody. Down the straight now, heading in towards the chicane of 6 and 7. Now, it's a relatively tight chicane, this, so if you'll remember, Nico Hulkenberg once what was the quote exactly they used? He's hanging there like a cow. Well, that was the barrier in which that happened. Sometimes we do see conundrums through that chicane. That's absolutely true. Down the backstretch now, 8 down in towards the more or less banked corner of turn 9. It's not necessarily banked as you would see it like Zandvoort, but it's more similar to that 13th corner, the sweeper at Jeddah. It's very similar to that. Exiting the corner through 10, through 11, and then into the deep right-hander of turn 12. It's a difficult one to get right this. Through 13, and then turn 14, which I will refer to all night long as the Latifi corner for reasons I'm sure you could understand. Through the Latifi corner, in through turns 15 and 16 to round out the lap. You got to be careful of track limits on the way out, as well as the curb. Your car could go spinning, and you could invalidate your lap. All very basic things there. 123.991 for DWCJ. That looks to me like a good enough lap, at least to get him comfortable. Curveball has gone 125.258. You can see he's also using the medium tires, which we can see a couple of drivers are also doing, Merck being one of those. Bong it. Shiesty has them set at the moment. He's coming out on track for the time being. I'm actually... Potentially, we could even see some guys on hards here. You know, Hemphead has already been disqualified. He's our first driver out of the session. Only one other car will be banned from Q2, and it could be anyone. But, realistically, if you're in a position where you feel confident enough to be able to make the top 15, you are not panicking right now. You are just having a good old time. You're calm, you're relaxed. You got 58 laps of this circuit yet to come later tonight. It's just going to be one of those things where these guys just strut their stuff, put together some good laps, get up to grips with how the car feels. That's going to be the name of the game. We've got 13 minutes and 20 seconds remaining in this session. We're along with Curveball for some reason. It was that of the Williams of Cato, who's just gone 124.962. Currently about a second off the pace of DWCJ. Again, not really in a position to complain about that, that's for sure. Osmanian Devil, 3.5 seconds behind. That might be a little bit more worrying, that one, as well as Curveball, I think, could be in a little bit of trouble with that. But I assume we're going to see some improvements yet. Coming out of the final corner now, we do have somebody. It is going to be that of Curveball. He's invalidated this attempt. I'm sure he's going to be back into the pit lane here shortly. Nope, I was wrong. He's going to stay out and try it again. We've got a Sauber making his way through Sector 1. It is that of Johnny Damon making his way through the hairpin at Turn 5 at Ferrari World. And then down the straight after this, he's got clear track ahead of him. He is on the soft tire, so he has already decided that he is using a set of his soft compound tires. Sepulveda has gone second, within 6.5 tenths of DWCJ's current pole time. In through the 6 and 7 chicane here. Nothing too ridiculous about this. Let me tell you something. If it was up to me, this is where I would begin the track. I would go down here, you'd use the, whatever pit straight that is. Your first corner being this turn number 9 here, that would be fantastic if you ask me. That'd be very similar to almost Qatar, but if I had my way, that's where I would put the start line. Charlie Golf in the McLaren has gone second. He's gone 124.108, now within a tenth and a half of DWCJ's current provisional pole time. We've got 12 minutes remaining here in Q1, and the next round the line, I believe we do have... well, I think it was going to be the Williams of Cato. He's on his way into the pit lane. That's exactly what it is. Sepulveda making his way through Sector 2. Johnny Damon's actually going to be crossing the line now to finish out his first timed attempt, and it is going to be third. 124.340 gets himself within 3.5 tenths of a second of the pole time. DWCJ, our first one and only one for the time being in the 123s. Everybody else low to mid 124s, which is pretty... That's kind of what we expected. May not see times get ridiculously fast, at least in this one. We're not really going to see, again, a lot of these guys push. We're just going to see them kind of get laps together, get up to grips with the car, get a feel for what the track is going to be like tonight. And, you know, we're going to see some good times. DWCJ 123.991, I think, is actually a very fantastic time, in my opinion. Certainly better than I could ever do. But I think as far as that's concerned, we're really not going to see many drivers, you know, migrate too far away upwards of that time, I don't think. You know, we're going to see some go out there and send it. But, again, for probably 15 out of the 16 guys on this track right now, these guys, they're not panicking. Okay, only one guy else is going to be banned from Q number 1. Unless you crash, unless you DNF. That's the other big question mark. While we have a minute, let's go over our driver and constructor standings going into today's final round of the season. Now, the Williams team have wrapped up the Constructors' Championship. They are a total of 153 points ahead of the Mercedes team. Currently 443 to 290. The battle for second place and third place and fourth place and fifth place and sixth place, all up for grabs. Mercedes 290, McLaren 262, Alpine at 239, Aston Martin 227, Sauber 224, 206 for the V-carbs. Red Bull's a little bit further behind, but they could get their nose in there. The Haas at 125 and the Ferraris at 114. I'm afraid not really much is to be salvaged as far as they's concerned. But as far as the drivers are concerned, again, Soxy atop the table, 7 points ahead of Reimer going into this final race of the season. DWCJ in third, 58 points behind. He's probably not going to be going for this one. Curveball has retired from the session, and that one is on track. I'm dreadfully sorry, but can somebody please get a good camera angle of this? I think he's genuinely done it, potentially either coming out of the final corner or going into the pit lane. Remember the one thing I said not to do was crash the car? I think he's gone and crashed the car. And so, as long as Owa and the rest of these guys get a time on the board, we have our 15 guys to make it through to Q2. And so hopefully, for the sake of everything. We'll hope that these guys kind of pack it into the pit lane and get ourselves, get themselves retired from the session so we can move on to Q2 rather shortly. But Curveball and Hemphead, our first two cars, well, disqualified isn't the right word, but they are not going to be participating in Q2. Curveball has genuinely, and I think he's done that on track as well, which is even worse. I think if he was to retire in the pit lane, obviously he wouldn't be anywhere far off, but because I think he retired on track, that car will not be ready for Q2. That is going to be a massive, massive blow to Curveball. Anyways, our driver standings, as I was talking about. DWCJ third, Kato fourth, so the top four cars in a Williams sandwich at the moment. He sits at 175 points. Matter of fact, I think that battle between DWCJ and Kato is actually quite well could be on here. It is literally, what's that, like 30? Well, yeah, he's like 30 points behind DWCJ. John the Prince, 29 points behind to Kato. Owa 14 back to John the Prince, and then 6 back of Owa is that of Angry Walrus. 8th is Sepulveda, 9th is Curveball, and 10th is Charlie Golf. Those are your top 10 in the driver standings. It has been a very fun season this season, I will say that as much as well. It's been a fantastic time joining you this season. I hope I'm able to continue doing these casts. I don't know, man. I got to get up early for work. These casts, we're starting early tonight. We started at 9 p.m. Eastern Time. Usually we'll be about 10:30 Eastern Time, or 10 o'clock Eastern Time, so it's a little bit later. But either way, I'm hoping to stick around as long as I can. Maybe even the Pro Tier could use some help. That'd be fantastic for me. But we do have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 cars currently residing in the pit lane. We've got 2 who have either crashed or been disqualified from the session, those 2 being Curveball and Hemphead. So I don't believe we're going to see many more drivers out on track. King Pro Player is on a time lap currently. He's within a 10th of a second of DWCJ's still provisional pole time of a 1:23.991. Well, I spoke too soon. Reimer has gone top of the table, 1:23.628. And I think that is really our first time of the night that we've seen a driver truly push for lap time here. I think that is a very good lap there. I do not know what in relation that will be to the other 2 sessions, but a very good one there for Reimer. His teammate, a King Pro Player, currently resides in that 3rd spot. 4.5 tenths of a second off his teammate's time. Johnny Damon not all that far behind it either, nor is Charlie Golf. It is currently 5 tenths of a second between the top 5 guys. And oh, by the way, between 3rd and 5th is only 2 100ths of a second. It's a very close top end of the grid so far. Midfield looks pretty busy as well. Sepulveda P6 ahead of Kato by about 3 tenths, ahead of Owa by maybe 5 100ths, ahead of Merck by about 2 tenths, and ahead of R. Manson by about 5 100ths, ahead of Shiesty by about a tenth here or there. And there you go. I mean, again, very busy midfield. That's what I like about this grid, in particular. This league that I cast, we've got some very competitive top end of the grid guys, and we've also got some, very good midfield contenders, always going to try to get themselves good results, and I think that's what we're going to be seeing today as well. But now, all but 4 drivers currently reside in the pit lane. We do have a yellow flag. One of the Mercedes has gone round. Not King Pro Player. Reimer, I think, just getting out of the way for his teammate there, potentially. That's about the last guy that wants to crash away from a session at the moment is that of Reimer. That is absolutely for true. We do have a Ferrari coming out on track. It's going to be that of Bonget. We've got Shiesty on an outlap at the moment. Currently resides P11. We'll go along with him. Although we do have King Pro Player in the pit lane. I think Reimer may be coming in here as well. R. Manson making his way through Sector 2. We'll go along with Shiesty, why the hell not? Going down the pit straight, one of the only pit straights in F1 without DRS. Vegas, Silverstone, and I believe... No, not Suzuka. Vegas, Silverstone, and Abu Dhabi. I believe the only 3 tracks with no DRS down its pit straight. So that's a fun little tidbit for you. But where it lacks down the pit straight, it makes up everywhere else in this track. It's a very quick track as far as DRS is concerned. Bit of slide there from Shiesty making his way through the hairpin and down the back straight. Now, it's a very interesting track this because, again, it's got its quick moments like this, like coming out of turn 6 and 7, coming up here in a second. It's also got its slow moments. I mean, that first sector, of course, slightly quicker corners, let's be real, but with the elevation change going through there, it does get difficult. Obviously, Sector 3, slower corners, definitely would like some handling there. So it's another one of those tracks that kind of, makes drivers have to experiment, have to try to figure out what they like in a car. And I think we had that similar sort of thing last time out in Mexico as well, which was a fantastic Grand Prix, I must say. But Shiesty making his way through Sector 3. We've got Bongit on time, on track as well. Soxy has not put together a timed attempt. Currently 4 minutes remaining in the session. I do not believe that they will be knocked out without providing times. That part I'm not entirely sure of, but I'd like to believe that's the case. Across the line now for Shiesty. P7, 124.822, improves by about half a second there. Yet another driver get himself into the mix of the midfield here. P6, all the way down to P11, still within half a second of each other. It's a fantastically tight midfield here, at least in Q1. I mean, that's probably not going to... I mean, you never know. It could be the case evermore through Q2, but I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. I do believe one of the men of the hour himself. No, it's actually not him. It's going to be Merck out on track. Soxy has still yet to put together a timed attempt. We've got Bonga in the Ferrari currently on track now. I believe he's making his way down through Sector 2 in towards Sector 3. He is on a flyer, this Ferrari. We've got Osmanian Devil as well as Merck, both on outlaps now. So 2 minutes 45 remaining in the session. Bongit, let's see what kind of time he's willing to put together here through. Making his way through Sector 3. He's gone a little bit wide there, keeps his time. Now going through the Latifi corner now. Again, clear track ahead of him. Don't really expect a lot of moves being made there through the race tonight, but it's still a fun little complex either way. Out of turn 16, the final corner. Doesn't use any of the curb on the way out, but across the line does go 12. 125.523. Gets himself, I think, knocking on the door of the top 5 right now. He's got to make up 0.8 of a second, but at the same time, for Bongit right now, that's not his concern. He's got his time on the board. He's done what he needs to do, and I think that is a huge part for him. But we do have Merck and R. Manson both on outlaps now. Merck, of which currently 10th. We do have that is only one of the 4 drivers currently out on track, or 5 actually, as I believe we do have. Yep. Well, Merck beginning his time lap now. Currently resides 10th. He's going to be going up the hill through turns 2 and 3 coming up here. Ask Charles Leclerc about this corner. He'll tell you all about it. I feel like there's a lot of corners, we could probably say that. 90 seconds or less-ish remain in the session as he goes through turn number 5. He did improve through Sector 1, so that's a good sign for him. He's got clear track ahead of him. Which that's another question. Do we see teams orchestrate toes tonight and try to get themselves a little bit of DRS help with a friend ahead or behind? That is a big question I'm going to be thinking about. 1 minute 15 remaining now. I think it's going to be one of those things where if it happens, it happens. If it doesn't, it doesn't. I think it kind of doesn't matter as much on this track. That's a big thing. I think when you think about tracks like Mexico, absolutely, you're going to be trying to work together with your teammate, do as much as you can. Merck is about 0.2 of a second quicker through Sector 2. That's looking like a pretty good time for the time being. We got less than a minute to go. Here's a look at the top 10 right now. Reimer, DWCJ, King Pro Player, Johnny Damon, Charlie Golf, Sepulveda, Shiesty, Kato, Owa, and Merck. And I have a feeling Merck is going to be improving by a good little bit here. He had a good Sector 2. Sector 3, for the time being, doesn't look anything wrong to my immediate eyes. We have lost officially Curveball and Hemphead. Curveball crashed. Hemphead has been disqualified from the session. Merck goes 7th. Something. I didn't even get the chance to look at the time. But anyways, 7th place for Merck. Not bad at all. Let's actually look at the thing here. 124.749. Not bad at all. I mean, that's a pretty solid lap, if I say so myself. He's about 7 100ths ahead of the next place guy, which is that of Shiesty in the Haas. I mean, all pretty high and dry stuff here as we are getting in through our last couple of timed attempts here. I think it is just R. Manson and Osmanian Devil left on flyers here. Our championship leader of Soxy has not put together a time. Osmanian Devil does not appear as if he's on a flyer either. R. Manson to the line goes 9th, 124.824. Good lap from him. So, Reimer, DWCJ, King Pro Player, Damon, Charlie, Sepulveda, Merck, Shiesty, Manson, Kato, Owa, Osmanian Devil, Bongit, Angry Walrus, and Soxy are those who have made it through to Q2. Curveball has crashed. He will not make it. Hemphead has been disqualified. He will not make it either. That's a look at your Q1 times, and now on to Q2. And so now, ladies and gentlemen, business is about to pick up. We've got Q2 on the way, and we should have 15 guys on the grid here who have made their way through on merits as well. Except for Soxy. The guy didn't set a time, and I think he's in here through Q2. In here through to Q2 is the English language version of that sentence. No, I was wrong. What? What has happened here? Why? So by Soxy not setting a time, he's not made Q2? Does he know that he's not made Q2? Huh. Alright. Well, we had 2 cars definitely miss the show. That was that of Curveball, as well as I think one of the Red Bulls as well. And now apparently Soxy and the Williams, which is massive for his championship efforts. I mean, I don't genuinely know. I don't genuinely know what's gone wrong with that. Is it? I mean, he didn't put together a time. Let's make that clear. He did not put together a time in Q1. I didn't think that would can him, though. I did not think that he would not get through to Q2 by not putting together a time. The car ahead of him crashed. That's why he's not here. The car behind him disqualified. That's why he's not here. Those are your 2 that are usually not on through to the session. That is a... I mean, I don't know. I don't know the rules. I don't make the rules. But that's the situation we're at. And oh, by the way, Reimer outscores Soxy by 8 points tonight. He wins the title. That is a massive, massive development here as we get in towards Q2. And oh, by the way, we are taking the top 10 in this session. So we are going to be losing 3 guys. Who will those 3 drivers be? That is the $1 million question, or at least the $69.99 question, as you get it from GameStop, but not the point. Johnny Damon, Merc, Angry Walrus, Bongit, King Pro Player, Sepulveda, Kato, DWCJ, Manson, and Owa all out on track. We are missing all but 3 drivers from the pit lane, those 3 being Reimer, Shiesty, and Charlie Golf. And now Shiesty making his way out on track. But our first time attempt is going to belong to the provisional pole sitter, or the fastest time from Q1, that of DWCJ. I think, actually, I've already forgotten. Through turn number 1, he's on the medium tires, looking like he's done pretty well there. And he's already invalidated. Well, I guess I'm allowed to be wrong every once in a while. DWCJ has invalidated his first attempt, which is funny because I didn't think he had actually taken that much of the curb going through turn 1. I thought he took about the same as he did on his quickest timed attempt last time around. That is odd. I did not think that he was going to be looking at a deleted lap time. Bongit is the only other representative of the medium tires for the time being. He's making his way down the backstretch. He is now our first timed attempt potentially on the board. We got the Red Bull of Owa following in his wake. He's not close enough, really, I think, to reap the benefits of a tow, but he's not too far away from doing just that. As they exit turn 6 and 7 and down the straight out of turn 8, heading towards turn 9. We've got 12 minutes in this session, remaining at least, before we head to Q3. Purple Sector 2, naturally, as you would, hugs the inside of turn 9. Sometimes we'll see guys take a little bit of the way around the outside through that corner. That's actually not the case, is what it seems for Bongit. Through Sector 3. Looking like he's got a halfway decent time through 13, through the Latifi corner after that of turn 14. Exits nicely. I think maybe a little bit of wheel spin on the way in towards some of those corners. Didn't look like the cleanest go of Sector 3 for the time being. But out of 16, that is definitely not the cleanest way through. It's a 1:25.945. Owa is going to get that by a full second, as King Pro Player then does that by even more. Fantastically high gaps between the top 3 at the moment. Owa, I thought Bongit was on a halfway decent attempt until he nearly lost the car coming out of the final corner. He's done well to catch it. And now he's currently residing as the slowest time on track. Angry Walrus has gone second, only just within like a second of King Pro Player's time. I mean, already we're seeing potentially a new contender for pole position. Kato has gone third, 1.2 seconds behind the pace. Merc has gone 5.5 seconds off the pace. We've got the Aston Martin coming around the line now. It's going to be that of R. Manson through 14 and 15, but this does not look like a time he is going to complete out on track here. Into the pit lane for the Aston Martin. We've got Sepulveda making his way down the backstretch now, exiting turn 8, heading towards turn 9. His teammate Johnny Damon about to finish a lap here. He's actually into the pit lane. Huh. So a couple of these guys, what we're seeing is they're going out on these timed laps, but they're not really comfortable with that first time. We've seen at least 2 or 3 guys now decide to abandon their previous times attempts, but a driver who is going to be looking to make a move here is definitely that of Reimer. 10 minutes remaining in the session. Championship contender. Almost hitting the wall there through the pit lane, but either way. Sepulveda through the Latifi corner now, exits nicely. No sign of any struggle at all from the Sauber in question through 15, through 16 after that. He's hardly going to use any of the curb on the inside. He'll try to take it as wide as he can on the way out to carry speed. 125, 359. That's not that good of a lap, I'll be honest with you. 2 seconds off the pace. That one's going to be in trouble, I have to think. Of course, he's got plenty of time to correct that and get things back squared away, but that's not a good look. Unless, of course, we're just not seeing the drivers push right now. It could very well be the case, where we see drivers, they're just kind of, taking their time is the wrong way to think about it, but they're just getting comfortable, once again. My question is this: when you got a driver like Soxy, who, again, battling for a championship tonight, let's not forget that. But you got a driver like Soxy, who currently, out in Q1, now has to sit through both Q2 and Q3 and then get to the race. That tells me that driver is going to be particularly cold when they get out on track. He is not going to have the muscle memory and routines developed for this track. I'm sure he does already. Let's not forget that. He's a very talented driver. One of the most talented drivers I've ever seen, ever had the pleasure of commentating on. But by goodness me, you'd have to believe that guy's going to be in a little bit of trouble when we get to the race. He's not going to immediately have the good look at the circuit and have the lines memorized like some of these other guys are when they get into the race. Reimer out of the final corner. He's starting his timed attempt now. 8 minutes and 30 seconds remaining in this second session of qualifying. Through turn 1. A little bit slippy on the way out. I think he probably could have done a little bit better there. Through turn 2. Through turn 3. After that, a lot of curb on the inside. You can see the car got a little unsettled then. He's had to, kind of think twice about taking that much curb on the way out. Typically, at least, how it always used to be, that was a corner you would spin through if you took that much curb on the inside. Maybe not the case anymore, but still potential. Down the straight, heading into the chicane now. He's got clear track ahead of him. Only 1, 2, 3 cars out on track currently. Walrus on an outlap. Reimer on a flyer, as we're seeing. And DWCJ also on a flying lap. We do have, I believe, the Ferrari of Bong making his way out now. Yes, we do, as well as the Red Bull of Owa coming out on track as well. And I think we are going to start to see a second queue of drivers making their way out on track here. Reimer into turn number 9, 52.917. That just sounds like numbers to me. We don't really know how good that is in relation to anyone else. But making his way now through turn 10, 11, 12, 13, and eventually the Latifi corner of turn 14, and then off to the final 2 corners. It's a very interesting final couple of corners, this, because, again, track limits on the outside does come up to haunt you, especially if you're not on a high downforce setup or you've got some older tires. That one could get tricky come the race. Exiting the final corner, Reimer to the line, provisional pole, 1:23.159. He's got his teammate by a 10.5 there. That is a fantastic attempt from the guy who could be on pace to win a championship tonight. Let's not forget about that. Angry Walrus beginning a lap now after having invalidated his out lap there. Thankfully, he's not done a this and next type deal. Through the first corner goes Walrus. Oh, and he's had a lot of, he's had quite a big moment there going through turn 1, but he's kept the car in one piece, and that's good enough to at least consider having one more attempt. Well, you can see what he's doing. He's got to hustle to get this car back into the pit lane. He's got to get it in the pit lane, get new tires, get fuel, get back out on track, complete the outlap, and then begin his final timed attempt. I mean, this is real and not dire circumstances for Walrus, but you can see he is not hesitating to get back to the pit lane. He wants to go. Matter of fact, I'm a little surprised we don't see him even cutting chicanes and whatnot. I see that sort of thing all the time, but yeah, he's got to get going here. That part is absolutely for true. We've got one of the Alpines on track at the moment. It is that of Merck. Exits turn 1, up through turn 2. He's lifted quite a bit there going through turn 2. We haven't really seen that from a lot of guys today. I mean, you could audibly hear it as he was making the turn through the corner. He is, however, 8.5 tenths quicker through Sector 1, and for currently being 5.5 seconds off the pace, that's probably a pretty good start, you have to admit. We do have an Aston Martin, or I believe it is the Mercedes, on the way into the pit lane. It appears Reimer has not, is either on his way in. Yeah, I think that was just his cooldown lap there. But in towards turn 6 and 7 now for Merck, and it looks as if, I mean, again, with clear track ahead of him, it's all pretty much up to himself now. Sometimes these qualifying attempts are almost like rally stages, where you just need to get things correctly, but if you don't, you have to blame yourself. Only sometimes. Sometimes you do deal with traffic, but that's not going to be the case here for Merck, and I don't believe... Well, I say that. He is a second and a half quicker through Sector 2. We do see his recharge light on, which leads me to believe that he has just, used up about as much as he can going down the straight. No, he's actually saved it. I guess maybe this is going to be more of a warm-up lap for him. This is going to be an improvement, after all, but this next one by, I think, will be actually his proper timed attempt. Remember, we cut positions 11 on down before we head into Q3. For the time being, I think that driver at risk is absolutely Merck and Bongit here. I think those are two guys that will need to get a better time on the board. Merck has improved, but this will be his timed attempt coming up now as he makes his way through the first corner. Doesn't use any of the curb on the inside. Oh, he's taking a lot of it on the way out. That sort of usage of the curb there is not going to help your car. I do not know. That time it didn't seem as if he had lifted through turn 1. It seems like now he's actually a lot more confident, or he's just sending it. He is 0.7 of a second quicker through Sector 1. Had a bit of a moment on the way out, and you gotta be kidding me. He has invalidated that lap. He's had a wiggle coming out of the corner, turn 5. He's gone over the white line on the way out. That is about as unfortunate as it gets. And with 4 minutes to go, he's got to get going to get that car back to the pit lane and ready to make one final attempt. We do have the McLaren now of Charlie Gulf on a time lap, making his way into the first corner. 4 minutes remaining in the session. Yeah, it still uses a lot of curb there through 1. Usually, again, you use that much curb, that doesn't help you, especially in the straight line. Down the hill into turn 5. Again, pretty much clear track ahead of him. He's got the Mercedes, a King Pro player ahead of him. King Pro undoubtedly on a fly here, although I don't think King Pro is going to be one of the players that needs to worry about getting together a good time. I think he's already pretty much there. He will not have to worry, in my opinion. He'll just need to kind of exist, get himself back to the pit lane. He'll be in good shape. Charlie Gulf, however, bit of a slide there coming out of turn 8. Back on the, 7 at that point, I guess. Through turn 8, down the back stretch he goes, heading in towards the left-hander sweeper of turn 9. 3 minutes 10 remaining in the session now. We are very much getting into the business end of Q number 2 now. We still have 4 drivers who have yet to put together timed attempts. Charlie Gulf is absolutely one of them, and I think if Charlie Gulf invalidates now, well, as long as he does it before the pit lane, he'll be able to have time to get back out on track and put together a lap. But if he does it after the pit lane, not good. Oh, he's used all of the track there. You could see that. Through 15 and eventually 16 after that. He's got a Mercedes ahead of him, but he's not really in his way. Through 16. Hopefully he holds it on the way out. He may not. Whoa, so he extends the track about as much as he can. 1:23.810. He is somehow able to keep that time because that car was definitely, I think, very close at least to invalidating that lap. He has put together a time. It's a good time as well. And so now, it's Johnny Damon. Sorry, who was that just went across the line? That was the Williams of DWCJ who's just finished that. We do now have Johnny Damon on a flyer, making his way into turn number 5. Got 2 minutes 10 remaining in the session now. Johnny Damon, one of still 2 drivers, yet to put together a timed attempt. R. Manson is the other one. Manson currently on an out lap, making his way through Sector 3. This is really starting to become panic territory, at least, for, I would say, Bongit, Merck, and maybe Owa. I think Owa being in the pit lane right now is probably not that good of a look, because that time I would not consider safe. I think Johnny Damon could definitely get ahead of that. Manson, I think, could as well. Bongit, as we can see now, starting another timed attempt. Merck. Is he actually that one coming out of the pit lane now? Yes, he is. Oh, but look at this. Merck, well, he is coming out of the pit lane. He has lost a front wing going through the tunnel. Oh, and that's about the last thing you needed right now. That is incredibly bad luck there for Merck. His qualifying session is certainly done. Unless does Johnny Damon invalidate this final attempt, making his way through turn 16 now. The McLaren of Charlie Gulf starting one ahead of him. Oh, look at this! Charlie Gulf really did not get out of the way for Johnny Damon there. Damon had to go right up against the back end of the McLaren and nearly got into him, but he's gone 5th. 0.7 of a second off the pace. 60 seconds remaining in this second qualifying session, and I would have to believe Merc is going to be all done and dusted here. Bong it. 3.5 tenths of a second quicker through Sector 2. Purple Sector 2 at best. 45 seconds remaining. I think this is actually looking to be a good time. The question is, why is Owa not out on track? I think that is a big question, especially considering he's got 2 quick drivers behind him. R. Manson making his way through Sector 3 as well. Bong it is going to be next up to the line, going through turn 15 and eventually 16 after that. As long as he holds it together coming out of the final corner, he could have a very respectable time here. Bong it to the line. Does not improve on the timing charts. He does improve by 8.5 tenths of a second, but it is not enough to get him any higher than what is now 12th place as Manson goes to the line and gets 8th. He is probably, for by and large, safe for the time being. The question is now, is Bong it sending this lap? No. So, there is your qualifying, there is your results for Q2. The pair of the Mercedes atop the table, Reimer King Pro Player, Charlie Golf, DWCJ, Johnny Damon, Sepulveda, Angry Walrus, R. Manson, Kato, and Shiesty. Your 10 guys making it through to Q3. Owa, Bong it, and Merc, I'm afraid, have not made the cut. And now, ladies and gentlemen, let the games begin. We are down to our final 10 cars. Q3 on the way, coming up right now, as we have Johnny Damon, Walrus, Reimer, King Pro Player, Shiesty, Sepulveda, Kato, Charlie Golf, DWCJ, and our Mansons. We've got both Mercedes, we've got both Astons, we've got both Saubers. We've got a lone Haas, a lone Williams, a lone McLaren, and a lone Alpine. Question is now, who comes out on top? This is going to be a fantastically action-packed session this. We've got 12 minutes of qualifying on your way, but I don't see anybody currently rushing out on track. I do believe now we are seeing somebody towards the back end of the pit lane make their way out. I think it could be Sepulveda. Yes, it is. Sepulveda is going to be our first driver to bite at a time to tempt here going in towards Q3. 11 minutes, 20 seconds remain, and now is where business picks up. We've got these top 10 guys, the fastest top 10 that we have, looking to secure a good spot for the upcoming Grand Prix. 58 laps of the Yas Marina circuit in Abu Dhabi on the way. After this, in 11 minutes' time. Sepulveda being the first driver out on track. It does appear Shiesty following in suit behind, making his way through turns 2, 3, and 4 coming up right now. Sepulveda, I'm curious to see if Sepulveda and Johnny Damon, or matter of fact, any of the guys currently with their teammate in the session, that being the pair of the Mercedes, the pair of the Astons, and the pair of the Saubers. I'm wondering if we're going to see, again, the tow be orchestrated. Now, I will be honest with you, whenever I was a teammate with a guy, I communicated with them all the time. I would not be in a party with them during the race, but beforehand, we would make sure we got our stuff settled. We knew what we were doing. I don't know how much these teammates here talk to each other. I assume they're potentially on the same kind of wavelength as each other. I don't know if they're actively in parties, but what I can say is this. When we see two guys like Reimer and King Pro Player, who finished 1-2 in the qualifying session, Q2, I'm thinking those guys are probably right on it with each other. That is absolutely for sure. I think those guys have probably been communicating with each other the whole time, letting them know what's going on. I think that is a good sign of a teammate right there, but I could be wrong. You know, maybe it's just how it is. I mean, I don't know. Could be. Sepulveda will be the first driver to start a timed lap here as he makes his way in towards turns 1 and 2. Goes a little bit slower into turn 1. That was actually, we've seen him use a lot more braking just then than we've seen a lot of guys use. That was actually probably one of the slower treks through turn 1 that we've seen. But down the hill through 2, 3, and 4, he's looked okay. 17.7, probably right up there with the average times that we've been seeing. Through turn 5, he's handled that very well. Uses a little bit of curb on the exit. I'm not too thrilled about using curb on exit like that, especially when you're going down a straight. That curb takes away from the contact of from the contact patch with your tire, from the tire to the road that you have, and, you know, building up that speed. Don't really like seeing that, but you could be wrong. Through 6 and 7, exiting, and now going through turn 8. You can see there he straddled it. That looked like he was actually much better, and he's gotten away quicker than what he did at turn 5. Down the backstretch, heading in towards turn 9, the sweeping left-hander, the almost NASCAR-style corner of this. It's a fantastic little part of this track that they've Remember before when they had the couple of off-camber chicanes there, just really didn't add anything to the racing. Now I think it's fantastic, this sector. They've also done a lot of work to this third sector as well. Latifi corner coming up here as well. All have pretty much been widened and slightly reconfigured to promote a little bit wider racing, which is always fantastic. Through turn 16 coming up now. Uses a lot of well, I tell you what, I did not like that line through turn 16. 124.883. What he did there, he took curb on the inside, then had to kind of hesitate himself and get slower on the way out to not take too much curb and to not invalidate track limits. That is probably, that's not going to be good enough. He's going to need to put together a better time. He's got 8 minutes, 10 seconds to do it. In the meantime, Sheisty's gone that top spot, 124.486. Question is now, Reimer making his way through Sector 3, has invalidated his outlap. I'm wondering if he's done it in Sector 3. That could very well be a this and next. Let's see what he's got here as he exits turn 16. He gets a little squirrely getting on the throttle. He has now begun his timed lap, heading across down the pit straight in towards the first corner. You see, he's taken that one a little bit wider. He's tried to carry more speed. It's not really worked for him entirely, but it wasn't too bad. DWCJ, 124.205 on the mediums. That is a fantastic effort from DWCJ. I tell you what, he could be a very big player in the pole position battle tonight. 7.5 minutes remaining. Reimer out of turn 5. Has completely clear track ahead of him. Behind him, the Williams of Cato has gone fourth, 125.160. Now fifth, Johnny Damon, 124.286. Now has himself in the second spot, 2/10 clear of Shiesty. About, as I said, 8/100ths of a second behind DWCJ, and Reimer has made a hash of turns 6 and 7. But King Pro Player, 122.884 for by and away the fastest time of any session, of any driver that we have seen today. That is the only time I think we've actually seen a car in the 122s. That is a fantastic time, and I would struggle to believe that someone is going to beat that. That is probably one of the best laps I've ever seen of this configuration of the Yas Marina circuit. Question is now, as Reimer makes his way through the Latifi corner, where is this going to put him? Again, he's battling for a championship tonight. 58 laps of the Yas Marina circuit to come. He is not going to complete this lap. This is not going to be one that matters to him. Into the pit lane for currently championship second place. Cato, I don't believe, is on a flyer here, but he saved up enough battery to begin another one. Charlie Gulf on a outlap now. He's making his way down the backstretch. We do have R. Manson, I think, not all that far behind, making his way, actually only out of turn 5. Angry Walrus, though, is going to be the Aston Martin in question, beginning his first, completing his first true time lap. 124.037, improves by a hell of a lot, gets himself into second place. That's about the best I could say that. He's still a second, almost 1.2 seconds behind King Pro Player. I mean, that is a fantastic time for the Mercedes. From a driver otherwise that so far in the sessions have been overshadowed by his teammate Reimer. Reimer out-qualified him in, I think, both of the sessions so far. But for King Pro Player to go throw that time on the board is ridiculous. We do have coming out of the final corner now, I believe it is King Pro Player on his way into the pit lane. We do also have, that's the Sauber behind him. Coming out on track, or actually starting a time attempt now, I believe, is going to be that of Manson. No, Manson is actually finishing one here, making his way to the final corner, and across the line for Manson. Only 6th, 124.807. That looked, I thought, a better lap than it probably was. I mean, I saw him come through the line there. You know, sometimes you can mentally picture where the lap's going to end up. I thought it was looking okay. I guess not. Charlie Gulf heading in towards turn 6 and 7 now. One of only 2 drivers yet to actually put a time attempt on the board. We have 5 minutes remaining in this final qualifying session. King Pro Player leads by a lot over Angry Walrus. And then after that, the top 7 cars really not all that far apart from each other. Walrus leads DWCJ by, like 2/10 of a second, really. Who leads Johnny Damon by 8/100ths. Who leads Shiesty by 2/10. Who leads Manson by about 3 some odd tenths. Who leads Sepulveda by about 8/100ths. It's, again, there's a lot of close battles within this top 10 cars. We're waiting to see now where Charlie Gulf puts himself within the mix here. Exiting the Latifi corner, somehow he is allowed this time to keep going. I mean, he was definitely all 4 tires over the white line. I'm not sure why this time's not been invalidated. I don't know, but to the line, second place, 123.570, at least twice on that lap. I think he's gone over track limits there. One of them noticeably. The second one out of that final corner wasn't really that noticeable. I think maybe he was probably still touching the white line, but definitely went wider than a lot of the cars I've seen. We do have now Shiesty on an out lap. We've got Manson making his way through the final couple of corners now into the pit lane. 3 minutes 50 remaining. Sepulveda going down the backstretch now. King Pro Player, the man of the hour, as it turns out, making his way on a brand new time to temp. 3 minutes 45 remaining here. And, well, we're going to obviously tag along with Charlie Golf to see where he's at on this lap. But I tell you what, when King Pro Player, when his lap starts, we are tuning in for that because we need to know what he is doing different. I think Charlie Golf might be on a flyer here. He's making his way down the backstretch and heading into the Sector 2 timing line now. Is yet an improvement? No, he's actually slower by about 1.5 seconds, but doesn't appear to be really looking that way. I mean, he's definitely sending it as much as he can. He's got to get back to the pit lane and get a new set of rubbers on there and get refueled. So yes, he's getting himself back to the pit lane quickly here, but you know, if you invalidate it this and next, that's going to be hugely detrimental. Charlie Golf into the pit lane. We do have one of the Mercedes guys, matter of fact, both the Mercedes guys, on out laps now. King Pro Player. Now, this is interesting here. King Pro Player, are we seeing him slow down and allow Reimer into the picture for the tow? Something that we have yet to see between any of the pairs of teammates so far today. We've got 2.5 minutes remaining. As Shiesty on a flyer. Sepulveda, we believe, on a flyer. And King Pro Player. Really, the man of the hour. Starting one now. Let's go along with our current provisional pole sitter. Exiting the final corner. Down the pit straight and across the line he goes. Starting now. In towards the first corner. Uses curb on the way in. Quite a lot of it, actually. Takes that nice first corner nice and wide. Look at that. Straddles the curb on the way out of turn one. I was talking about how drivers should be doing that. And this is really one of the first guys we've seen do that so purely. That's one of the best handlings of Sector 1 on this track I think you're ever going to see. And he's ahead by a lot, I think, as well already. Purple Sector 1. Exits turn 5. Down the straight he goes, heading towards the 6 and 7 chicane. He's got the Aston Martin swerving ahead of him. May pick up his toe. No, not really. You're not really going to swerve out of the way and try to pick up a toe like that. That's going to hurt you more than anything. Making his way through 6 and 7. He's used a lot of the curb on the way in, through turn 6. On the way out, uses curb. DRS activated now. I'm curious to see where he's at through Sector 2. I mean, that wasn't a ridiculously special go through Sector 2. 90 seconds remain in the session. He is quicker, though, by about 2.5 tenths of a second through Sector 2 alone. This is looking like it's going to be probably track record-like times this. Through Sector 3 now, heading towards turns 10, 11, 12, and eventually 13 after that. Charlie Golf has retired. That being in the pit lane, his qualifying session is over. Minute 10 remaining. Through the Latifi corner now is the Mercedes a King Pro Player, and he's held that so brilliantly. Through turn 15, through 16 after this. I mean, this is going to be one of the best laps of this circuit you'll ever see. Out of 16, 122.620. He improves on top of that 122 that he already had by 0.6 of a second. I mean, are you kidding me? Reimer, by the way, has gone second within 9.5 of a second of his teammate. Fantastic lap from Reimer. I mean, still, that's a good effort. Let's see what the actual time is. We're at 123.553. As King Pro Player retires on track. Oh, that's interesting. King Pro Player has retired on track. He's done it. He's done the menu and retire. I don't know. Now, we did see in the first session, when I believe it was that of Curveball who had crashed out on track. It did not keep his time. He was eliminated from the session. Does that hold true for King Pro Player? We'll have to wait and see. Angry Walrus out of the final corner now. Does he improve? Yes, he does, by about 4.5 of a second, actually. Kato, all he can manage is 10th. Not ideal for him. Across the line for the Alpine of DWCJ. He does go 5th. We've only got a couple of cars left out on track on flyers. R. Manson, one of them, 7.5 of a second quicker through Sector 2. Is going to be the next car around the line. Reimer, we believe, is done with his. Behind that of Manson is the Sauber of Johnny Damon. His teammate Sepulveda, I believe, actually on one as well. Making his way through 6 and 7, going down the backstretch here momentarily. R. Manson, this is looking a good lap from him so far. Let's see where it takes him on his way out of the final corner. Through turn 16, doesn't hardly use any of the curb on the way out, and does only go 6, 123.932, improves by 8.5 of a second. That's a good-looking lap from him. The times really won't show that, considering how far apart first from the rest of the grid is at the moment. Out of the final corner for Johnny Damon and across the line, does go 5th, 123.747, improves by 5.5 of a second. By the way, 5 1,000ths of a second between Johnny Damon and DWCJ. That is a fantastically close gap there. we've got the Sauber of Sepulveda, who maybe had a little bit of a wiggle there coming out of the Latifi corner. I'm not sure this is going to be an entirely massive improvement here for Sepulveda, if it is one at all. Sepulveda, the line, does improve by about 6/100ths of a second, but it is 8th place. And unless Angry Walrus is on a flyer, which he is not, that is going to be your qualifying order. It's a front row lockout for the Mercedes team. King Pro Player leads his teammate alone by 9.5 of a second, despite being on the same row of the grid. And oh, by the way, Charlie Golf back to Reimer, only, 17 1,000ths behind? Very close as well. Matter of fact, that top four, Reimer on back, very close to each other, as well as Johnny Damon, 5 1,000ths ahead of DWCJ. Manson in 7th, second and, about a 10.5 maybe over Sepulveda. Sepulveda, another 10.5-ish over Shiesty, and Kato rounding at the top 10. This is looking to be a fantastic race coming up here. 58 laps of the Yas Marina circuit in Abu Dhabi coming your way. Ladies and gentlemen, it is about time for 58 laps of the Yas Marina circuit in Abu Dhabi. 17, I think, is the total that we had. 17 of the mightiest that CCRL has to offer as we look to tame one of the most sought-after win circuits on the calendar. Who wouldn't want to win the final race of the season and potentially claim themselves a title? For Reimer, that's a possibility. For Soxy, that's now a challenge. Again, 7 points the difference between those two in the standings as Soxy led on the way in tonight. Now has to fight from the back of the grid, which may help him. You never know. This is a long race. A lot can happen. Plenty could potentially unfold in the 58 laps of the circuit that we do have. And I'd like to take a moment now to thank you truly for watching along this season and giving me a reason to continue doing this. You know what I mean, man? I've been doing this since fall of 2020. It's been 4 years now. I still enjoy doing this. Let me tell you something. Attendance has dropped in almost every other league I commentate. This one being the outlier to that equation. Let me tell you something. It does seem fantastic to be able to come to a league with 17 plus guys on the grid almost week in and week out. It is a fantastic place to be, and I have truly enjoyed being along with you almost every step of the way this season. Of course, life gets in the way sometimes and you miss one. But I can promise you this, as long as I'm probably still here and as long as I'm able to, keep fighting to the next morning and get up for work, I may continue to commentate on this fine league you've got here. I don't know. We'll have to wait and see, especially after this. Let's see how I feel tomorrow morning. Then we'll make our judgments out of that. But still, the task tonight for Soxy is to finish ahead of Reimer. That's pretty much the goal for Reimer. Finish and outscore Soxy by 8 points, and that will claim you a championship. If you tie, no good. He'll get you on the tiebreaker. Reimer, absolutely very talented driver. He's won championships. And I think 2 out of the 3 leagues that I commentate he participates in as well. Jag Sunday, CCRL, I believe, potentially won a championship, I think. I don't know. I joined about midway through last season, so I don't know. I could be wrong. But, well, I think he did. I forget now. Man, I can tell you what, I almost barely remember what I had for breakfast this morning, but here we go. Lights turning on the grid. 58 laps of the Yas Marina circuit in Abu Dhabi, and we are away. The 2 Mercedes getting away off the line very nicely indeed. King Pro Player on the outside has cleared his teammate by a couple of car lengths now already. Reimer being challenged by Charlie Golfer on the outside. He's not going to have it. They're undoubtedly going to be trying into this first corner, but not enough to really get themselves into a heap of trouble early on in the Grand Prix. Angry Walrus within a 10.5 of Charlie Golf as they make their way down the hill out of turn 4, heading into turn number 5. DWCJ trying to get in this mix as well. There he goes, trying it around the outside. That was nearly sketchy there for DWCJ. Very much indeed was. Up the inside, Johnny Damon, fantastic overtake as we have a Ferrari bonging around at the back. Manson looks like he's spun the car as well. Sepulveda and Kato side by side going down the straight, heading in towards 6 and 7. It's a fantastically bizarre, chaotically opening lap this, despite so much time left in this Grand Prix already. We're seeing guys send it back and forth. Johnny Damon's going to have to try the outside, and DWCJ here exiting turn number 7. Through turn 8, they're pretty much even getaway. Johnny Damon on the inside will probably carry less speed, but they are still right neck and neck with each other as they make their way, heading in towards turn number 9. This is where it could get interesting here. Johnny Damon will file in behind the Alpine in question. Shiesty has not done that. He's taken a lot of the curb on the way into the corner and now looks to be overtaken by Sepulveda on the left side. Not quite going to happen. Lap 25 to 33 for the stop for the medium to hard. The game says it's a one-stop strategy. We are going to see, I think, plenty of guys, though, choose 2 stops tonight. Owa getting around R. Manson as they make their way through the Latifi corner now. There goes Merck trying around the outside. Oh, and the Red Bull of Owa is spun in front of everybody. Thank goodness ghosting is on. That would have been a hilariously awful turn of events there if it wasn't. King Pro Player, currently fastest lap of the session so far. Soxy, the driver, the man of the hour really very well could be as well, have that championship taken from him as behind him. Look at the spread of cars making their way through the corner. Several of them, that's for sure. Curveball leading the way from Osmanian Devil, Manson and Merck battling it out behind. We got the pair of the Ferraris as well as the Red Bull of Hemphead trying to peek his way into this battle as well as they make their way down the hill through turn 4. Remember, DRS will be activated. 18 to 33 for another set of the mediums, 36 to 51 to round out the race on the hard tires. That is the look at the 2-strop strategy as they make their way down the straight, heading in towards 6 and 7. Reimer within half a second. All they got to do, the 2 Mercedes guys, is pretty much stay ahead and keep it clean and not fight each other too much. In through the chicane they go. Angry Walrus leads DWCJ. DW's going to try it on the inside. Will he be able to get the acceleration and get away? No, not quite. But as they look to try to overtake Charlie Golf, who has amassed a 2-second gap to the cars ahead. Angry Walrus around the outside. DWCJ looking to do quite the same. Round the outside through turn number 9. Is he going to be able to get in to get the acceleration there? No, not quite. Johnny Damon on the inside, nearly getting into DWCJ as well. As Shiesty now trying the left-hand side. Will he be able to get there? No, he's going to end up side by side with Sepulveda on the way into turn 11. I think it actually turned 12 at that point, not the point. As they make their way now through the Latifi corner, it seems like these guys have at least filed their way in through here. We'll probably see that battle be made going down the straight. I think it's R. Manson who's gone round. Yes, it is. Hopefully he's not hit anything, but he has relegated himself back to the tail end of the grid. That's very unfortunate for him at such an early stage of this Grand Prix as well. Positions 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and almost 9. Within so close of each other here. It's going to be a fantastic battle amongst these guys. They make their way down the hill into turn 5. Johnny Damon having a peek to the inside of DWCJ, not quite. Shiesty, I think, nearly got into the back end of the Sauber in question. That's going to allow Sepulveda into the mix to potentially make something happen now. DWCJ to the inside of Charlie Golf. Charlie Golf pulling some pace as well, trying to find a way around Angry Walrus. It's not going to happen for the time being. DWCJ tucks back in line, gets back out of line, and is looks to the inside of Charlie Golf to make a move happen. He's going to have to send it around the outside. Charlie Golf has taken so much curb on the inside of turn 6 and 7 that it's allowed DWCJ to get through with almost no difficulty at all. But Charlie Golf still does have DRS to what was at the time of the back end of the Aston Martin of Angry Walrus, but not the case for the time being. Charlie Golf nearly trying to overtake DWCJ for the 4th spot. Johnny Damon in this as well. Shiesty, Sepulveda, all within position here to potentially make moves happen. Meanwhile, atop the grid of the pair of the Mercedes are really starting to pull away now. Of course, 7/10 of a second between the two, I think it has to be said. Reimer, as long as he has DRS, is in a good place here. Did Angry Walrus just hit the wall going through the Latifi corner? He got damn close to it, that's for sure. Doesn't appear that there's any visible damage to the car. I must be imagining things. Out of the final corner they go. DWCJ within reach of the Aston Martin here. He's not going to have him into the first corner, but it'd be a damn good look if he did. Angry Walrus, a little bit of a lock up there that may allow DWCJ to the inside, and he's not going to try it up the hill through 2 and 3 and 4. That would be kind of a risky place to try to make something happen on the way out of turn 4. Down the hill, heading into the hairpin at turn 5. Does DWCJ try to use the brakes? No, not quite. Charlie Golf, maybe does he have a look to the inside? Not quite. Walrus floats high, exiting turn 5. That's going to allow DWCJ a very easy path to this now 3rd and final podium position. Charlie Golf now leads the way under pressure from Damon. Damon to the inside. Walrus still side by side with DWCJ. Charlie Golf, Johnny Damon, Sepulveda, the 2x2. They're piled up like NASCAR going into the corner. It's a fantastic battle this, as they're still 2x2 as they make their way through the chicane. And as it turns out, DWCJ now atop. Walrus in 4th, now to the inside, uses all of even the pain on the inside to make that move happen. Johnny Damon along the left rear wheel of Charlie Golf. Charlie Golf floats to the outside. Johnny Damon still holds it low, and for the time being still can't find an advantage to be able to get round in the McLaren. And I think DWCJ has kind of done the smart thing there and has kind of filed in line. But now, trying the outside of Angry Walrus, or perhaps was it just a mistake because Charlie Golf nearly had a look there. And as they go through the Latifi corner, they kind of sort themselves out, at least for the time being. But that was very close to being dangerous there between this group of cars. Of course, we're seeing some fantastic racing here. But again, 58 laps, of the Grand Prix, we do not need to be sending it this hard this early. But of course, this is what happens when you've got such a setup as we do. And the DRS activated after the first lap like that. These trains do still form. Hemphead is our first 3-second penalty victim of the day, and I believe, has he just had an incident coming out of the final corner? Yes, he has. He's pulled it back into the pit lane. Could potentially be an early retirement here for the Red Bull in question. The two Saubers appear to have, I say swapped positions. I think Johnny Damon may have just taken his teammate on the inside there, or vice versa. Pause. Down the straight they go, heading into towards 6 and 7. Walrus will not be challenged by DWCJ this time, although I have a feeling that if a good exit out of the chicane is had, very well could be. DWCJ very much trying it now. I think he's gotten pretty good acceleration there, even before they get DRS. They are very close. Oh, maybe some contact there. That one got very close, but DWCJ around the outside, that could even allow the McLaren of Charlie Gulf to the inside. No, he's going to run out of real estate there. But now, Angry Walrus hoping that he's not going to slip back any further as the very quick McLaren behind him trying to find a way around the Aston Martin in question as they make their way now through Sector 3. Fantastic battle going on here as Johnny Damon and Sepulveda and Shiesty and Soxy all being part of this battle now. Shiesty picking up 3 seconds for multiple warnings, and that Haas looks to be struggling. That car definitely looks like it's on the understeer side of the equation. As for Soxy, that is not necessarily someone you want to be trapped behind. Oh, that's a bit of a slide there. Wow, and wide. Tell you what, that's about of guessing as something could happen as it gets right there. That could be a virtual safety car, but it appears the track will stay green. As I was saying, you don't really want to be stuck behind a car that's struggling like that, and he nearly, well, matter of fact, did, lose it out of the final corner, has lost his front wing going down the pit straight. Thankfully, it appears the track has stayed green, but for Shiesty, that is a massive, swift kick in the groin area for that safety car not coming out and bunching that field back up and allowing him to pit and get that front wing fixed. DWCJ leads this pack down in towards 6 and 7. Charlie Gulf, I think, kind of the closest to making something happen here. He's definitely still looking for Angry Walrus. I think should had Angry Walrus not had the DRS, it would have been a different story. As Shiesty has gone round again, this time exiting 5. Heading in towards turn number 9. No, Walrus is not going to be close enough this time. Oh, although he has made a mistake under braking, which has resulted in Charlie Gulf getting into the rear tire of Angry Walrus and is now missing the end plate on the right side of his front wing. That is a massive, massive L for Charlie Gulf. As Shiesty now a tenner for corner cutting, as Shiesty retires on track. And I think, well, it is going to be a virtual safety car. Has he bended on purpose then, or is he retired via the pause menu? I don't think they would have brought out the virtual safety car if he didn't go out on track and bin it himself. Only appears to be just the virtual safety car for now. That's going to allow Charlie Gulf into the pit lane to get that front wing fixed. Yes, it is. There it is. Hard tires on for the McLaren in question. He's going to tumble a little bit here. Merck has also decided to pit, as well as the Ferrari of Agnote. Agnote joining the grid as well now. We started with 18, should have been 17, but we're now down to 18. 7. I don't even know. The pair of the Mercedes atop the grid. King Pro Player leads his teammate by 2 seconds. Hemphead, a drive-through for speeding into the virtual safety car. That is not a good look at this stage of the Grand Prix. That's absolutely for sure. We've got DWCJ leading this train of cars here. Of course, whilst under the virtual safety car condition, we're not going to see any sort of racing until whatever hazard it is has been cleaned up, which it already has, so we should be seeing this done here rather shortly. But either way, I'm thinking DWCJ has done a fantastic job so far in simply being able to hold on to position here. I completely forgot to do this. We were having such good action this whole time. We forgot to look at the tire strategy. Everybody has started on the medium tires. Pretty much. I mean, several guys have chosen the medium tires. I think maybe 1 or 2 started on the hards, and now we see that's kind of why we're seeing such a competitive grid, is that nobody's really facing, a tire delta to, be falling off of or, gaining time to the cars around them. As we begin the 8th lap of the Grand Prix, next time by 50 to go. As DWCJ leads them down the pit straight again here. Angry Walrus still relatively close in position, and, I think the question is going to be how well does Charlie Gulf kind of reinstate himself into that battle for position. He's had to pit for the front wing. He's, well behind the next guy in line, which is Owa, about 9.5 seconds to be exact. about 9.5 seconds to be exact. English is not my first language, as it turns out. Soxy trying it round the outside to Sepulveda. He'll cut back down to the inside, and if he gets good enough acceleration, should have at least this Sauber on the way into the chicane. Certainly appears to be the case. Ahead of them, we've got, who's this? Johnny Damon and Angry Walrus right side by side now. 3 abreast into the corner. Johnny Damon has to back out. He's ran out of real estate there as the straight kind of funnels into that 6th corner. As now, whoa, did you see that? How high DWCJ just got off the ground. As Johnny Damon now round the outside, and that's going to allow Soxy into the picture. Oh, is he going to be squeezed against the wall on the inside? Look at him use every inch of the racing surface as he sends it in on there on Johnny Damon. Little bit of contact as he somehow makes it ahead of both DWCJ and Johnny Damon. And now Sepulveda trying to have his way. DWCJ, I mean, that car launched at least a couple of feet off the ground. I hope we, are able to, somebody is able to get a screenshot of that somewhere. That was a fantastic flying Frenchman then. As Hemphead, 10-second penalty for crossing the pit lane exit white line. That's going to be a pretty high and cut and dry penalty, that one. 13 seconds, a penalty for him as we're only on the 9th lap of the Grand Prix here. Soxy, fastest lap of the Grand Prix. Of course, his next challenge is getting around Angry Walrus and then continuing to put time behind him to be able to catch up to his main championship rival of Reimer, currently residing in the 2nd position. 3.5 tenths of a second. Of course, the Saubers actually very close to battling each other here. I'm a little surprised that we haven't seen some sort of teamwork between the green and black machines here, as Johnny Damon is going to get to the inside of Sepulveda. Sepulveda not having DRS. That was probably the smarter way about that. Johnny Damon, we don't know if he's necessarily the faster car out of the 2 Saubers, but we know at least for the time being that he's in a good position. As Soxy actually getting around Angry Walrus. Oh, has Walrus gone off track? Well, he's way out of the way. And, well, I tell you what, that was a little odd there from Walrus. Something has happened with him. That car was ghosted and he was well out of the way of the racing line. DWCJ on the brakes there, trying to find a line back to Johnny Damon as they make their way through the Latifi corner again. Grid starting to get a little bit spread out here, but we still have a fantastic battle between at least these two for the time being. Of course, I'm assuming we're going to see Soxy climb his way. Oh, Angry Walrus that time. Now, I only just barely saw that. That car was well out of shape coming out of turn 16. That car was very far to the outside wall there, going down the pit straight out of the final corner. That one was close. Something tells me that Aston Martin is struggling for the time being. He doesn't have any visible damage, at least. I mean, he's not missing any bit of the front wing. That would have been my first guess, because not only when you lose a bit of the front wing, it hurts the downforce, it also hurts braking performance as well, which is not something you want to be lacking in, that's for sure. Down the straight they go. DWCJ, 0.3 of a second. Does he have a look on Johnny Damon here? Yes, he does. Damon is not going to really put up too much fight, at least for the time being. Does he try to stay to the side of the Alpine? He's not going to be able to have that chance. DWCJ, as they exit turns 7 and 8, DWCJ has not had a good exit of the corner and is now under a lot of pressure from Johnny Damon, who's going to look for this one around the outside of turn 9. DWCJ is going to defend that outside line quite well, but that's going to allow Damon to switch to the inside as they come out of the corner. No, that's actually not what he's done. He's tried to keep it around the outside there, maybe catch some more, retain some speed on the way out. That's actually probably furthest from the truth as to what's happened there. Johnny Damon has actually lost time going through that corner and is now starting to fall behind DWCJ. As CJ within a second now of Sepulveda, the top 5 cars separated by at least a second each. Charlie Golf actually getting around Bong It, going through that ninth corner. That looked to be a pretty good move there, I think. Bong It still trying to look and be in position there. Johnny Damon into the pit lane. I'm wondering if he has some sort of damage that we can't see, because this guy has been struggling, and I do believe that is a mechanic getting a front wing ready? Yes, it is. Yes, he is missing the end plate on the left front side. Okay, we didn't see that at first. That would be the reason for the struggling Sauber at the moment. Hard tires on. And back out on track. He will rejoin the grid. Currently P13. Closest battle on track now between the two V-carbs in question. Curveball to the back of Osmanian Devil. Let's have a look at positions gained and lost. Curveball up 5. Osmanian Devil up 7. Soxy, of course, up 13. just when he needed another testament to the talent of that Williams driver currently in third. Now, DWCJ, 0.4 of a second to the back end of Sepulveda going through turn 9. I'm assuming we could be looking at a move be made here. Sepulveda does no longer have the help of DRS to any of the cars ahead. This could very much allow DWCJ into the picture here. I'm going to go ahead and assume... Well, we haven't really seen which of these cars is faster for the time being. I'm thinking I would give the edge to DWCJ, but now that these cars are both going to be in clean air and, not necessarily have cars around them to use DRS against, and stay within that DRS train, we're really going to see these guys, I think, start to come into their own here, and I think maybe... Well, it has to be said, Sepulveda's keeping good pace for the time being. He's not really allowing DWCJ within 0.6 of a second. I mean, he's going to have DRS, and I think that's probably going to force an overtake as they exit turn 5. Oh, that's a big slide for Sepulveda. Does he catch the car? He does. Oh, he takes the bollard, though. Maybe does he... Well, I don't know if he would have damage from that, but I tell you what, that car was visibly out of shape coming out of the corner. He has caught the car. Very nicely done. He's not hit anything but the bollard on the inside. He has lost the position to DWCJ. But as far as that's concerned, Sepulveda, probably best case scenario, what's just happened to him there. That was very close to being awful for the Sauber in question. But still... rejoins the circuit and is within 0.4 of a second of DWCJ ahead. He'll have plenty of DRS. Not really using his energy store for the time being. He's going to try to rely on this one fully with DRS. He's not going to have it going through turn 9. He's just not going to be close enough to make that happen. We do have the two V-carbs within a couple of tenths of each other as well. I don't expect too many fireworks between the teammates then. I would surely hope not, at least. 0.3 of a second. 0.4 now as they make their way through turn 13 in the Latifi corner, turn 14. Bit of a slide there for DWCJ, as you can see. That car's kind of struggling to get back on throttle, as we do have, I believe, a Red Bull stranded coming out of turn number 1. Yes, it is a temp head, who seems to have gone for a bit of a spin there. Back to the battle with Sepulveda and DWCJ. Again, DWCJ's car definitely looks like it's sliding around a little bit. That car doesn't look in the best shape. Maybe are we just seeing... tires start to wear? Is this kind of, par for the course as far as we're seeing some of these guys really start to struggle for the time being? That could absolutely be the case. I'm pretty certain that is definitely possible. DWCJ goes all the way down to the curb on the inside, trying to break the toe back to Sepulveda. In fairness, it's worked a little bit. Sepulveda's not going to have the ability to chime in here on the braking zone. Although he's taken a lot of the curb through 7 again. Now that hurt him before, may hurt him again. How has he gotten away? Has he gotten away relatively the same as Sepulveda? The Sauber's going to try it on the inside. I think that one's going to be relatively easy. It all started going through the chicane there. Oh, but look at this. DWCJ switches back to the inside. Fantastic move from him, and I don't think Sepulveda really expected that. I was kind of thinking Sepulveda was going to park it on the apex of turn 9 and not allow DWCJ to make that happen, but DWCJ had that one lined up from a kilometer away pretty much. Fantastic effort, and I'm afraid it just comes up a little bit shy for the Alpine in question. We do now have Osmanian Devil within about a second of Kato here. That could be a fun move happening in a little bit as the pair of the B-Carbs trying to get around the Willie in 7th at the moment, but now, for the first time, this race. Reimer and Soxy, the championship rivals. I say rivals. They don't really find themselves together on track all that much. It's a very interesting rivalry these two have. Don't really battle each other. Not that I can remember, at least. They don't really battle each other that on track all that much. But we're going to be looking at some of our first head-to-head battles here. Action. From Soxy to Reimer. Of course, again, the top 2 in the championship currently, battling for what will be a championship. Of course, Reimer needs to outscore Soxy by 8 points tonight to be able to win said title. Soxy needs to make sure Reimer does not outscore him by 7 or more. That's the name of the game. DWCJ around the outside of Sepulveda, heading in towards turn 9. One of the rare times we're seeing a move be made on the outside of 9 here. And I tell you what, the acceleration there for the Alpine pretty good, but Sepulveda's done just as well on the inside. Of course, DWCJ looks as if he's going to be keeping that spot for the time being. He's got the pair of the V-Carb side by side through 9. As somebody who is trying to get to the back end of Kato here. This is not exactly what you want to be doing when you play this team game through turns 10 and 11 and 12 there. It looks as if Osmanian Devil will remain the car at the top of the queue. But now the question is, as we begin our 15th lap of the Grand Prix, Soxy, half a second back to Reimer. Of course, do we, start to think of Reimer maybe, is he conserving his tires? Has he used them up to this point? It could very well be the case. He's 5 seconds behind his teammate. I mean, you never know, right? I mean, we could be looking at a scenario with, Reimer genuinely being, losing his pace. We do now see Charlie Golf and Owa battle it out there. I think Charlie Golf's actually got him around the outside there. That was a really fantastic move. Shame I didn't get to see it. Soxy has a peek to the inside. He's not going to have it now. I think he's going to have to rely on exiting turns 7 and 8 here. And I would actually argue the Mercedes got away a little bit better. Soxy will have the better acceleration with the battery and the DRS. Oh, he's going to choose the inside. Reimer, I don't think he expected that. He's not allowed him any room on the inside there of the corner. That's going to allow Reimer now to switch back down to the inside. Bold move there from Soxy. And has it worked? I'm not too sure it has, but finally, the Williams does get ahead of the Mercedes in question. And yes, it has worked flawlessly for Soxy. We really thought he was going to have to try the outside at turn 9 then. That's not what happened. He went way down to the inside, nearly side drafting the wall there, going through the corner. That was a fantastic move from Soxy. And now, once again, has the championship in his control. Owa, 7.5 tenths of a second. Back to Charlie Golf for the 10th spot. As Hemphead, 3-second penalty for multiple warnings there, I'm afraid. Sepulveda, one of our first drivers, I think genuinely strategical on the way into the pit lane today. Let's see what does Sepulveda decide to do here. Oh, he's missing a front wing. Oh, I didn't see that at first. Well, I tell you what, that is not something that we initially saw with the Sauber. Gee. As Osmanian Devil getting around Kato, then that one's actually coming out of turn 4 and in towards turn 5 on the way into the corner. That's not something you see too much, and I'm thinking maybe will Osmanian Devil even have DRS going down the straight here? No, he won't. I was thinking maybe was he still behind at the detection point. That wasn't the case. Kato does have DRS. He's not really closing into the V-carb in question. I mean, he is a little bit, but he's not really getting close enough, I think, to make Devil panic here. Walrus now trying to get himself within this battle for second place as well. He's about a second behind Reimer. As we have a yellow flag, someone has gone around. It's Charlie Golf. Has he had help there somewhere along the line? Has he taken too much curb and just genuinely spun the car? I'm not too sure. But either way, track stays green. Coming up closer to halfway through this Grand Prix in about 12 laps time. A lot of action going on so far. Curveball still within about half a second of his teammate there. Angry Walrus now within half a second of Reimer. Now this is interesting already. Now we know Soxy is a quick driver. Reimer's quick in his own right, but Reimer has now lost about 1.5 seconds to Soxy, having only been overtaken last time by. Yeah, it's not a good look there for Reimer. I think that Mercedes might be struggling here. But that's alright. Angry Walrus in the slipstream. Can he find his way around the Mercedes in question? Doesn't look like he's going to be able to shoot the gap and go for broke from that far away. Potentially will he have it going in through turn 9? That would be my next guess. And I don't think Reimer's actually done quite well there exiting turn 7. But it appears that Walrus is still going to be too far back to make something happen. Yeah, I'm thinking for the time being. Well, the question is, does Walrus genuinely have the pace to start challenging, at least Soxy in the second position? We haven't really seen him make too many moves today. I mean, really, he's not improved any net position since then. Pair of the V-carb still battling here for the 6th position. Osmanian Devil, I would believe the quicker driver out of the two, but Curveball's hanging right with him there, and I think as long as that doesn't become some sort of conundrum between the two, it'll be all right. Reimer into the pit lane for a strategical stop. Is it the hards? Is it the mediums? Kato, 3-second penalty for multiple warnings, and an additional set of medium tires on for the Mercedes of Reimer. So, 2 stops for that Mercedes. got Curveball, 6/10 of a second back to Osmanian Devil. These three cars may catch up along with Reimer here as Reimer goes under the bridge, nearly hitting the wall under there, but Johnny Damon fastest lap on the hards nonetheless. That's a little bit of a surprise. As they exit, they are going to be right up alongside Reimer here for that 5th position. Of course, the two V-Carbs, Kato trying to peek his head in the battle as well. I'm thinking Reimer's kind of probably going to start to pull ahead with the new tires. Of course, they're probably not up to temperature yet, so we don't know. But DRS is going to be activated here for Osmanian Devil. Down the straight they go. Is he closing in on Reimer? Yeah, about 5/100ths of a second per every couple of meters here. It's really not that much. I mean, he is gaining on Reimer here, but it's really only just. I don't know if Osmanian Devil is going to be looking to find a move here as Reimer pulls away very quickly at turn 7 and 8. I think Osmanian Devil's got to be more worried by his teammate at Curveball here. Yeah, don't think Osmanian's going to be pressuring Reimer, but Curveball may. Kato has fallen outside of that battle. Johnny Damon actually without 2.5 of a second as Johnny Damon around the outside of Kato, going through 10, 11, and 12, and wow, he has gotten the Williams only just. That was very close to being dangerous then. Soxy and Angry Walrus into the pit lane. Our 2nd and 3rd place competitors for the time being. It's going to be medium tires as well for Walrus. For Soxy, medium tires as well. Angry Walrus has also stopped in the proceedings here. Reimer making his way down the pit straight heading into turn 1. Will Reimer be able to actually make a position on Soxy here? They're going to be right neck and neck as they exit the pit lane, and no, the Williams is going to get out actually slightly well ahead. About a 1.5 seconds, really, but Walrus is actually going to get in between. Oh, look at this. So, Osmanian Devil, I think, has had a bit of an error there because Angry Walrus has genuinely overtaken the V-Carb, and maybe his Devil had to try to react there. That one got kind of close, actually. But now, once again, we got a pretty good battle here going between Johnny Damon, Curveball, Osmanian Devil, and Angry Walrus for that 5th position as they make their way down the straight, heading into the chicane. Oh, look at this! It's contact between the two V-Carbs and a front wing, piece of the front wing missing, a lot of the front wing missing on Curveball. Oh, and fellas, we're only 19.5 laps into this Grand Prix. Did we really need to try to send it on our colorful counterparts there? Yeah, that's probably not exactly the way. Yeah, not gonna lie. Probably shouldn't have done that. Unless, I don't even know. I don't know. I can't judge people. That's for sure. King Pro Player into the pit lane. What does he have install here? It's hard tires. We do now have the Red Bull of Hemphead who has spun the car coming out of the final corner. Backs across the circuit, naturally. Even if ghosting's on, I would probably just not do that. Osmanian Devil, 3-second penalty for multiple warnings. So Hemphead now the 2nd driver of the day we've seen kind of lose bits of the front wing out of that final corner. That is what we know now, not going to bring out a safety car, as it didn't bring one out for Shiesty, who has since retired. Making their way up through Sector 1 now. King Pro Player still 5.5 seconds behind DWCJ, who is now the leader of the Grand Prix. Soxy, I think, probably in the best position of anybody to try to overtake the leader of King Pro Player. King Pro Player, interestingly enough, has chosen the hard tires. Could he be going medium, hard, medium? Could he be trying the one-stop? I think he's probably not going to be able to reach the one-stop at this rate. I mean, you never know. It could be. It'd be a hell of a reach, but I think he probably could do it if he tried hard enough. The two Ferrari drivers will invert position here. Anyote will get ahead of Bongit. Charlie Gulf has got about a second to Sepulveda. And as they hit the DRS detection point, Charlie Gulf will not be having DRS to Sepulveda ahead. Bongit may have it to Anyote here, although I don't think we're going to see these two Ferraris necessarily battle to the point of having something major happen. Although you never know. DRS is activated for the Ferrari, the only car on track currently with DRS to another. That of which being his teammate. It's at a 2-second gap. Oh, it's a big save from Bongit. That car nearly, pretty much full tilt coming out of turn 9 there as they have a yellow flag coming out of the final corner. Hemphead has spun the car, I think, trying to get his way into the pit lane. Kato now within about a second of Bongit. This for the 13th position. And there's no other takers for the pit lane this time, although Kato very close to Bongit here, trying to make something happen. Sepulveda 0.6 of a second away from Osmanian Devil, this being for the 7th position. Devil currently on 3 seconds of penalty for multiple warnings. Sepulveda, 0.4 of a second, and I think he's probably going to be looking to get Osmanian Devil rather easily here to the inside, and that one is going to be very straightforward indeed for Sepulveda. Although I could be wrong, he hasn't cleared him yet. Now there he goes, finally, into the corner. Osmanian Devil still along the right side. Maybe if he's able to stick the nose in there. Nah, not quite. Although Osmanian Devil will have DRS, but he's not gotten away out of turn 7 and 8 very well at all. 7.5 of a second, and not really closing in. I mean, a little bit, but not much at all. Out of turn 9, 8.5 of a second. We do have Walrus within a second of Reimer here as they make their way out of the Latifi corner through 15 and through 16 after that. Quick note here, DWCJ currently leads the grid. I do believe he has yet to stop. 21-lap-old medium tires is yet to stop. That is allowing King Pro Player into the mix here to look to overtake the Alpine in question. Soxy also within that battle. 1.2 behind King Pro Player. We could be looking at our first real meeting of these two so far today. Soxy versus King Pro Player would be a hell of a battle to unfold. And I'm thinking that won't be very far away from happening. Walrus to Reimer is a battle which could be happening now. DRS will be activated for the Aston Martin in question as they make their way down the straight heading in towards turn 6 and 7. But King Pro Player trying the inside of DWCJ here. He has really tried to send it on the Alpine, and he has made it happen. And even more so, that's not really allowed Soxy into the mix to try to be able to overtake King Pro Player. You know, I think for Soxy, he was hoping that King Pro was going to be held up trying to defend against DWCJ. That wasn't the case at all. He's been dispatched very quickly. Angry Walrus to the inside of Reimer. He'll get the 4th position and will eventually be 3rd after DW pits. But DW was dispatched of very quickly there. Kato versus Agnote. The Williams is going to get around the Ferrari on this occasion. Charlie Golf around the outside of Osmanian Devil. Bit of contact there on the way into the corner. Charlie Golf is going to push well wide. Osmanian Devil's going to get back in front of him. I think we have a yellow flag somewhere along the line. DWCJ's been overtaken by Soxy. I think one of the Ferraris may have had an off there, as now they're going to be side by side here again, speaking for the 13th position. Double dosage of Maranello into the 9th corner, as it looks as if that one is definitely happening. Charlie Golf within a 10th of Osmanian Devil here, making their way through turns 15 and 16. Oh, that's a big off! Oh, and that was a huge error there then from Osmanian Devil. What he's done is he's made the last-minute decision to try to pit. He's gone locked up on the brakes, clean over the curb, and plows into the side of Charlie Golf. That is a massive error for Osmanian Devil. Massive, massive error, and that would absolutely have race-changing implications on Charlie Golf. Wow, oh wow, that is a massive happening there as Osmanian Devil does retire in the pit lane, as I think he was probably fearful of the eventual stewards penalty that was going to be coming his way. Huge lock up on the brakes, and he was a bit side by side with the car then, as we see Angry Walrus try to find his way around DWCJ now. Way up alongside Charlie Golf, he, kind of got side by side with him. He made the last-minute decision to try to pit, but he was coming in too hot into the corner, and he's gone over it and into the side of the McLaren, and that is absolutely such a disappointment there for Charlie Golf, who's been caught up really in somebody else's error. But as Angry Walrus trying it around the outside of DWCJ, he won't really have too much difficulty with that. That has allowed Reimer into this mix, though, and could he potentially find his way to the back end of Angry Walrus and make something happen there? Reimer will have to act quickly here. He is trying the outside of DWCJ through turn number 5. Still looking for it, and he's done it well. Nicely done for the Mercedes. We have another yellow flag. Charlie Golf, I believe, has gone off at the entry to the pit lane. Thankfully, it appears that car has been able to get into the pit lane. We may be looking at, I'm afraid, of DNF from him, though. Manson now side by side with Bongit. Bongit into the pit lane, although Bongit has actually just picked up a 3-second penalty for multiple warnings on his way into the pit lane. Yeah, slightly odd, I'll admit. New front wing for the McLaren in question. Good to see that he hasn't decided that it's over for him. Tell you what, battling inside the top 10, something like that happens. That takes some real mental fortitude to be able to keep going like that and hope for the best. Reimer, 4.5 of a second back to Angry Walrus as they make their way out of the Latifi corner through 15, through 16 after that, as Walrus 3.5 seconds behind Soxy. Soxy, by the way, we were kind of hoping and thinking that he was going to be able to, get up closer to King Pro Player, who's on these hard tires. It's not really happened. Soxy closing in, but only really just. DWCJ into the pit lane. It's going to be hard tires for him. He has taken those medium tires 24 laps. Fantastic for DWCJ. And that, I think, is going to be a real testament to some of these other guys as well. They're going to start to see, okay, we can take the mediums longer than 20 laps. That's exactly what I think people are thankful for. And sometimes when that sort of thing happens, you get one guy who's just going to refuse to pit and see how long he can take a set of tires. That is really the baseline for everybody else to say, hey, you can take those mediums at least 20 laps. That's a good place to be. That's a good, piece of information for these drivers to be able to feed off of and build off of. But I think now the question has to be, as Reimer, 0.6 of a second back to Angry Walrus. I tell you what, we've seen several big incidents tonight. Specifically, I'm a little surprised that incident between Osmani and Devlin, Charlie Golf, didn't result in a safety car. Both cars were missing front wings on the racing line as well. A little surprised that didn't result in anything more than a couple of yellow flags. We did have a virtual safety car for the retirement of Shiesty earlier on. That's really been about it. Curveball just getting down to the inside of Agnote will get the 11th position. 0.8 of a second back to Reimer for Angry Walrus. Johnny Damon, 3 seconds, a penalty for multiple warnings. I'm thinking he's gotten that either coming out of the Latifi corner or maybe he's taken too much curb somewhere along the line. Either of those absolutely possibilities. Agnote, 0.4 of a second back to Curveball going through turn 9. Looks as if for the time being, these three cars, these two cars, battling genuinely for position here, all of which on 3-second penalties. Joining Curveball and Agnote with 3-second penalties. Johnny Damon, Kato, and Bong. I think Hemphead has picked up at least one or two of those in the process somewhere along the line. But through 15 and 16 now. 0.8 of a second. Agnote not necessarily closing in on Curveball here. This is currently the closest battle on track. Everybody else rightly spread apart. Although Bong kind of getting into the mix here between this battle of King Pro Player and Soxy. Just that's going to allow Soxy some DRS to get around the back marker in question. That could come into play. And nope. Second and a half there between Agnote and Curveball. So, as King Pro Player begins the 27th lap of this Grand Prix, King Pro Player leads Soxy by 2.5 seconds, who leads Angry Walrus by 3 seconds, who leads Reimer by 2 seconds, who leads Johnny Damon by 7.5, who leads Sepulveda 4.2, who leads DWCJ by 10 after having just pit, leads Owa by 4.5, leads Merc 2.5, Kato 4, Curveball 8.5, Agnote 2.5, R. Manson 16.5, Charlie Golf 12, Bong at 16.5, and then Hemphead's at least a couple of laps down by this point. But is actually unlapping himself, I think, from R. Manson for the time being. Well, we're about halfway through this Grand Prix. Right now, we are going to leap ahead in the program a little bit. If anything in the meantime happens, I'll definitely edit to that point, but we've got nothing necessarily close to each other on track for the moment, so this is where the in the title becomes condensed replay. But it's been a very interesting Grand Prix so far, still a lot of racing left to go from the Yas Marina circuit in Abu Dhabi. Has just picked up a 3-second penalty for multiple warnings, but not only that, he has spun that car coming out of turn 15, missing a bit of front wing there and into the pit lane for Johnny Damon. Tough break for him. And has retired from the session from the 7th spot. And only halfway through the Grand Prix as well. Yeah. That's a bit of a shame there for Johnny Damon. Was looking like he could have had a pretty good race there. I think he probably should have held on a little bit longer. That's, I don't know. So that will bring the field, which initially started with 18, down to 15. Still just waiting next up for our next window of tire pit stops. We're thinking that the hard tires, or those maybe will pit again, currently on the mediums, might be up next as far as that's concerned. Soxy, Walrus, Reimer, Owa, Kato, definitely Anyote. Probably going to be pitting here within the next 10 laps or so, and then onto the hard tires from then on out. But King Pro Player is still your leader here in Abu Dhabi. Just a minute here, ladies and gentlemen. We've just had a big one, I think. Bongit has apparently lost the car coming out of... what is that? Coming down the hill, exiting turn 4. This will be a full safety car on track. That car is parked at the bottom of the hill. If we could go along with somebody here to find out where that car is stranded at. Right about back there, as DWCJ's already passed, that car has gone around somewhere along the line and has hit the wall. That car's in several pieces now, but we are now looking at a position where tire strategy will absolutely be coming into play. And, well, the question is what do our companions decide to do here? Curveball, we're assuming, has just gone to a fresh set of hard tires. No, it looks like he's actually stayed out. Owad to the hards, Merc to the mediums, Kato to the hards, Anyote to the hards, Charlie Gulf has decided to stay out on track. And we're just waiting for our leaders to come back around and see what they do. King Pro Player has decided to stay out. Soxy has picked up 3 seconds for multiple warnings under safety car. On his way into the pit lane, don't ask me how that happens. Soxy and Walrus and now Reimer all on their way in. Assuming we're probably going to see Sepulveda on his way into the pit lane as well. But this will be do a good job to get the field bunched back up here. Sepulveda will decide to stay out, actually. He's going to be making up a couple of positions here, maybe over Walrus and Soxy as well, if he's lucky. I don't think he's quite going to get Soxy. He does get Angry Walrus, though. Down the pit straight as well, DWCJ also decides to stay out as Sepulveda gets a drive-through penalty for speeding under the safety car. Yikes, that is not the big look for him, that's for sure. As he was trying to separate himself and get him around to Angry Walrus and get himself to probably Soxy as well. He's not remained within Delta, and that car now has a drive-through penalty for speeding into the pit lane. Safety car out on track here. We're going to step aside once more just to get the safety car sorted, and then we will take you back with the action once we get him re-racked and ready to get going. We'll be in this time by at the drop of the green flag. We will have 25 laps remaining in this Abu Dhabi Grand Prix. King Pro Player does still lead the grid. He did not pit on that round of stops, though. We'll have to deal with Soxy behind as well as Angry Walrus. It is that of Sepulveda, however, with a drive-through penalty for speeding under the safety car. Reimer has pit. DWCJ has not. Curveball has not. Owa, Merc, Kato, Anyote, and Hemphead are the other remaining drivers who did stop on that occasion. Here's a look at your penalties. Back to the tires, though, however. Merc, the only driver on that round to take the mediums. Everybody else has gone hard, those who have stopped. Question is now, can King Pro Player get away to a good enough of a, well, getaway, to be able to hold Soxy at bay? Soxy does have a couple of lap drivers in between, and I think he, well, definitely looking to try to get around both Hemphead and our Manson here. Green flag back in the air. The game has not allowed Soxy to actually be able to get through the lap cars behind the safety car. They've not allowed him to go by. Sepulveda has decided to serve his drive-through penalty. That one will be good. Reimer, 7.5 of a second behind Angry Walrus. DWCJ trying to get to this as well. That will be for the 4th position. As into the braking zone at turn 5 they go. A lot of lockups there. Cars trying to get their tires back up to temperature. Merc followed. So ahead of the queue here. Curveball leads Owa, leads Merc, leads Charlie Gulf. We're probably going to be on the cusp of some pretty damn good racing here. Owa, will he have a look to Curveball here on the way into 6 and 7? No, not quite. That is, I believe, that is just the Aston Martin back marker getting out of the way there. That looked like a hell of a dive. It really wasn't. It was just the car getting out of the way. But it will be 7.5 of a second for Reimer. Back to Angry Walrus. Will have DRS next time by, so long as he can stay within reach of both the Red Bull. Because, you know, as you're following in behind a back marker, you will get DRS for being behind them. Angry Walrus, though, within 0.3 of a second of Soxy. These two drivers battling it out for position genuinely, both of which on 3-second time penalties. Not going to matter too much. These guys definitely going to be fighting for position. Charlie Gulf has actually gotten around Merck, I think, going under the hotel pedestrian bridge there. Down the pit straight they go, 6.5 of a second for Walrus to Soxy, and that gap is closing. And I think it is a lot of because, well, they're on the same age of tires. I don't know why that would be otherwise. Charlie Gulf getting around Owa. Owa has missed a bit of his front wing there. The right side of that Red Bull, I think definitely something is not right with him there. Oh, don't come back on track. Wah! Well, Kato and Anyote, slightly a bit of a code brown there as Owa rejoins the track, I would argue, in a slightly dangerous manner that he's missing a lot of the front wing on the right side. Oh, that one was close to being awful there. Walrus will not get the opportunity to hunt down Soxy this time. DWCJ may have a look at Reimer. Charlie Golf definitely had a look at Curveball just then. Heavy over the curb that time was the Red Bull in question. I believe that was Hemphead at least. Kato and Anyote battling it out there. That position has changed hands. DWCJ will look to the inside for Reimer going through turn 9. A lot of the curb on the bottom. I tell you what, DWCJ, really his biggest success story today is being able to figure out how to use that 9th corner to be able to make maneuvers happen. We haven't really seen that from a lot of guys today, and DWCJ has that down to an absolute T as far as I'm concerned. He's probably been some of the most competent overtaking through that 3rd sector that we've seen so far. Merck about 3.5 of a second behind Curveball, who is starting to fall behind Charlie Gulf. I think maybe his Curveball struggling a little bit here with understeer, it kind of seems. Having to lift and get back on the throttle in a slightly unorthodox positions of the track. Getting closer now to the last 20 laps of this Grand Prix. Angry Walrus, 0.3 of a second behind Soxy. This position could absolutely change hands going in towards turn 6 and 7 this time. Soxy will go well wide through turn 5, trying to build up as much straight line speed as he can, but it's not going to matter. Walrus is going to have a look well to the inside, not even really having to use his energy store either. Now past Soxy, up to 2nd. And the question is, does he now start using the energy to try to get towards King Pro Player, get himself at least within striking distance? That would be huge for him. Merck getting around Curveball for the 7th position. Anyote getting around Kato for the 9th position. Some good battles happening here in the back end of the midfield. 0.3 of a second. Reimer can find a way to get around DWCJ now. 6-lap older hard tires for DW over the Mercedes of Reimer in question. So we're thinking that the Mercedes will have probably an undoubted advantage here for the time being. Curveball still trying to find a way around Merck. This being through turns 10, 11, and 12. Through 13 in the Latifi corner after that. Bit of a slide for Curveball on the way out, but now the question is, as we're definitely seeing this, King Pro Player must have made a mistake somewhere along the line, because Angry Walrus is now, for the first time of anybody really since the off of this race, within a second of King Pro Player. Business is about to pick up here under the night sky of the Yas Marina circuit in Abu Dhabi, as Hemphead is retired, and I believe that is on track, and a safety car to boot. We'll go along with Sepulveda. That is going out of turn number 2 on the way up the hill. Huge off then, it seems, for Hemphead. It was around right over there, similar to where Charles Leclerc had his incident. I think it was either last year or a couple of years ago. Another huge turn of events in this Grand Prix, as Hemphead retires on track. Bit of a crash job from that, and brings our grid down to 13 cars. That will probably allow drivers like King Pro Player, Charlie Gulf, Curveball, and Sepulveda to probably have, and DWCJ for that matter as well, to pretty much have free pit stops to really get them to the end of the Grand Prix. That is a massive turn of events there. I mean, we just had the safety car not long ago for Bongit's crash, which, was kind of still a little too far away to really get himself in position. Well, King Pro Player has decided not to stop. Merck has picked up a 3 second for speeding to the pit lane. DWCJ on his way in, as well as only Merck as well. Geez, I was expecting a lot more drivers to stop. That's actually just straight up not the case. King Pro Player will retain the lead of the Grand Prix. Will once again find its way in at the end of this lap. We didn't really have a lot of cars pit that last time, which surprised me. DWCJ, Sepulveda, I think really the only two that did. You know, well, we're within 20 laps to go in this race now. Business, I think, once again about to start picking up here as we hit 11:08 here on the east coast of the United States. We've been at this since 9. So this is, you know, I'm ready for it at this point, man. Let me tell you something. King Pro Player it's been a dominating display for him all day. But the question is now, does Angry Walrus and Soxy have a fair chance this time? I remember the last time, as the safety car had came in, Soxy had the lap traffic in the way that wouldn't Ghoster get out of the way for him until they hit the green flag. So maybe now do we see King Pro Player have some formidable opponents here in the early goings. Let's see. Green flag back in the air as they make their way in towards the first corner. Let's see. Do we see anybody make any lunges? Onyote within a 10.5 of curveball here into the corner. Really not going to find a massive one there. The question is really going to be exiting turn 5. King Pro Player only has a half a second advantage over Angry Walrus as they make their way down the hill and into the hairpin. Soxy is starting to, I don't want to say fall back behind Angry Walrus, but he's not really closing in to the point to really consider that a formidable opponent at the moment. Charlie Golf, 2.5 tenths of a second back to Reimer. That could be a move. Angry Walrus still really stagnant behind King Pro Player, but again, once DRS gets activated here this next time by, that's going to be a fantastic way to be. Charlie Golf trying to look to the inside of Reimer, goes way over the curb through turn 6 as we have a yellow flag at the back, and I think has Sepulveda gone around? Yes, he has. He's lost a lot of the front wing as well. Massive disadvantage there for Sepulveda now. That's a huge, unfortunate moment for him. 3 tenths of a second between Charlie Golf and Reimer. But for the time being, the top 3 cars. Of course, King Pro Player's not on any sort of penalty either. That much we got to keep in mind. But I will say this. At any point in time, could King Pro Player pick up a penalty and now make this a true 3-way fight for the Grand Prix victory? Not to mention Reimer, 2 seconds behind on no penalty, as well as Charlie Golf. That could be for potentially the win of the Grand Prix as well. DRS reactivated here. They will get it coming out of turn 5 and going down towards the 6 and 7 chicane, but for the time being, as Sepulveda now picking up a time penalty. 6 cars on track remain without 3-second penalties to their name as Hemphead has left the session. Angry Walrus, 2.5 tenths of a second as he looked for King Pro Player. He's not quite going to have it this time, I don't think. But now, these 2 drivers of Angry Walrus and Soxy are now immediately knocking on the door of their main rival ahead of them. King Pro Player, who's had this race all to himself all day long. Angry Walrus trying it around the outside and will get it, but the question is now, does King Pro Player have the ability to hang on tight to this position and at least be able to stay ahead of the Williams that is right in his immediate vicinity? As Soxy around the right side now with DRS activated, both of them for that matter. Soxy has better acceleration, and for the first time this race, King Pro Player has been beaten on pace. 21 lap old hards, let's not forget that. But seriously though, this is the first any sort of contest we've seen for the top spot all race long. And oh, by the way, that now makes it a one-on-one battle for what could eventually be the lead and the win of this Grand Prix between Angry Walrus and Soxy. Soxy, again, looking for a championship win tonight. Reimer, his hopes of doing just that are slightly fading. Again, he's got to outscore Soxy by 8 points tonight to be able to win the title, and for the time being, really not looking like it's in the cards as we're getting closer to the final 10 laps of the Grand Prix. Soxy, within half a second of Angry Walrus as they go through the first corner. I will say, the Aston Martin looks like he's taking it just slightly better for the time being. The question is, though, say we have another safety car comes out on track, King Pro Player might be at a huge advantage because he will get the stop for the medium tires, and that'll really put him in good standing with the rest of the grid. I think now he's kind of, I think maybe he should have stopped under the last one, tell you the truth, because this has not helped him. Staying out these past 2 safety cars, now having to spend 21 laps or now more on these hard tires that he currently has fitted. 1/10.5, 2/10 of a second between Charlie Golf and Reimer as they make their way through 6 and 7. I tell you what, Reimer in a heap of trouble here because Charlie Golf is managing some good places. Look at this, 3 abreast it was, going through 6 and 7. DWCJ, Curveball, and Anyote all argy-bargy here is ahead. Charlie Golf gets around Reimer. DWCJ gets ahead Curveball and will get around Anyote as well. Massive pace by the Alpine in question, who's been strong all day. I will say he has done a fantastic job, and he does get around Anyote as well. Fantastic for DWCJ. 2 positions in the span of the straight. And now Charlie Golf, who very well could become a serious player in this Grand Prix victory if it does happen, has gotten around Reimer. Reimer now 0.7 of a second behind Charlie Golf. As well, look at this. This is even more important here. The top 2 have almost 1.5 seconds back to King Pro Player. I mean, this is something we haven't seen all day long, is the fact of King Pro Player actually having formidable opponents. I think that was the first time as well he's been genuinely overtaken on track as well. The only time he was not in the lead was with the round of pit stops after a DWCJ had taken it for a little bit. Since then, I mean, it has all been the Mercedes, a King Pro Player. Through turn 5 they go. Kato looking to the inside of Curveball potentially. They'll have DRS going down the straight now, heading towards turn 6. We do see, who is that ahead of him? Anyote trying to get around DWCJ. Kato does get past Curveball relatively with ease. Reimer to Charlie Golf is the next battle, as Reimer will have to try around the outside. Will he be able to get it? Oh, I don't think he will initially. He does have DRS. He's got plenty of track position on the outside to make it happen as well. Reimer back to 4th. The battle for the lead, 0.5 seconds here, but for the time being, it has to be said, neither of these 2 drivers very keen on sending it on each other quite yet. Remember, they've really got to kind of work together almost to get that time back to King Pro Player. Oh, big slide for Walrus. That's going to allow Soxy round the outside potentially through 15. No, he chooses not. Anyote spins out there. Thankfully, it doesn't appear he's hit anything. The track will stay green. 3.5 of a second. But the big question now, King Pro Player 2.5 seconds behind. He's not really losing that much time either. That's the big question. We know he's on older tire by, I would say, a considerable amount over the 2 drivers battling for the lead ahead of him. But I mean, for the time being, King Pro Player is still in position to take the win, unless these 2 can surmount a 3-second gap to the cars behind. DRS activated for Soxy, looking to the inside of Angry Walrus. Actually, no, that's not going to be the case at all. He's hung right in behind the Aston Martin in question. I think what he's trying to do, he's trying to just make sure that that gap back to King Pro Player does at least get built up. 2.7, 2.8. Very close now. As around the outside for the lead of the Grand Prix, Soxy does get it on Angry Walrus, but behind Curveball and Merc. Oh, look at this side by side. Owa was in that battle as well. I think Owa has been slightly muscled out of position there. They're still side by side, Merc and Curveball now. Merc down to the inside. Curveball is not going to be able to hold on, and we've got ourselves a new driver in the 8th position. It's Merc in the Alpine. Well, Owa was in on that as well. I think Owa was either muscled out of position there, or it kind of spun the tires, or maybe had to take evasive action. We're not sure, but he was well off to the inside coming out of the chicane. That usually tells me he's not had a good go through it, as something has happened with the Red Bull of Owa. But now, Soxy leads Angry Walrus 0.7 of a second. 6.5. I mean, still very close battle here between the 2. And as we look at the tire strategy, they're both on 14-lap old hards. We think they can make it to the end here. I think it's going to depend on if another safety car comes out. That would be a big, big question mark in the grand scheme of things. But Curveball to the back end of Merc. It's a 10.5. And oh, by the way, Owa in this as well, as they make their way through turns 2, 3, and 4. Curveball trying the outside of Merc. Owa's going to try to send it there as well, around the outside, through the hairpin. Is he going to be able to do it? The Red Bull on the outside. Does he get enough acceleration to be able to challenge the Alpine? Yes, he does. DRS activated. No defense there from Merc, and he may get Curveball as well on the way. Oh, look at the pace Owa's got. And yes, he will have Curveball rather easily as well. Nicely done for Owa, but look at this. Curveball still wants it. He's still right there. He'll have DRS again as they go into turn 9. Still very close between the 2. DRS activated for the V-Carb. Merc in this as well. Anyote now joining the fray. Anyote having a look around the outside of Merc. Merc breaks early. Anyote trying to keep it on the high line here. Potentially, can he find some acceleration and get away ahead of the Alpine? Yes, he can. By the way, it appears Merck has some wing damage on the left front of his front wing there. Not good for him. Not sure how he's picked that up or where the contact was, where that's resulted, but that is a massive, unfortunate moment there for Merck. Soxy back to Angry Walrus is half a second, but more importantly, back to King Pro Player almost 5 seconds. So we are just genuinely outright looking for a battle for the win. Soxy pretty much just needs to hold on and stay ahead of Reimer, and he will be the champion here in the Elite tier. Soxy, will he be able to hold position? Walrus, I think, kind of staying in behind. Maybe is he conserving fuel a little bit? That could be a case as well. You know, we've had a couple of safety car by now. I don't think fuel conservation is the #1 thing on these drivers' mind, but you could have underfueled it a little bit by now. I don't know. Fair question to ask. 0.3 of a second. Oh, but look at this. Angry Walrus around the outside of Soxy on the way into Turn 9. Well, we didn't expect that. Walrus was what looked to be a fair ways away from making that happen, and he's done just that. He's kind of sent it around the outside of the Williams there. Nicely done. And now the question is Owa back, Agnote back to Owa, and also look at this, Owa around the outside of Curveball through 9. Is Agnote going to be able to break his way into this battle as well? If he stays within position, he might do just that. He'll take the high line round Turn 9 through 10, through 11, and into 12. Oh, look at this, late on the brakes is Agnote. A little bit of contact there with Curveball. I don't really think enough to complain about necessarily. Agnote up to the 9th position. Oh, by the way, Owa not on any penalty, but we'll still need to battle with Agnote. Because again, at any given moment, we could be having drivers pick up time penalties. Down the straight they go, heading towards 6 and 7 now. Agnote and Owa now battling it out through Turn 5. The Red Bull on the outside. Still looking to get away well. Curveball and Merck also. And Merck, despite having the wing damage, is tagging along to this battle quite well. Look at this. Curveball may have the opportunity to send it through the middle, and no, I think if the straight didn't funnel into the corner like that, it probably could have. A little bit of contact there. Oh, even more contact there with the Red Bull and Merck in on this as well, trying to ride the outside over the curb. And I think he is going to be able to be okay here, Merck. DRS still active, but I tell you what, some good pace being had right now for the Alpine, despite missing some wing. Into the 9th corner, he'll have to back out, as I don't think he was going to really make the corner with Curveball there on the outside, but some great battling going on here towards the tail end of the midfield. DWCJ half a second back to Charlie Golf. Charlie Golf not all that long ago. Oh, big slide for Charlie! Well, he's held the car. Yeah, that one was very close to being awful there for Charlie Golf. Instead, he's only just lost the position. Well, remember, coming into tonight, the Constructors' Championship was pretty much wrapped up. We are just waiting to see if Soxy can finish this race out. You know, I think he's absolutely the deserving driver for the championship. Reimer, to his credit, has been very consistent this season, has been just as consistent as Soxy. Anytime Soxy may have had an off race, Reimer was right there as well. Reimer, credit to him, absolutely deserves to be in this championship battle. Oh, as Agnote's gone round, how bad are we talking? Well, I think he's only just spun the car. He'll catch up with the tail end of the train there, and the track stays green. I think as far as Reimer is concerned, it'll be, well, I don't know, as Curveball and Owa side by side now. Oh, big bit of a tank slapper there for Curveball, as Owa and Merck kind of get caught up in that. That was nearly a rough one there for those two, as Curveball got out of shape and they all had to check up behind. Anyways, back what we were trying to say again. I think, you know, Reimer, if he finishes second place in the championship, he can be proud. 10 laps to go now under the night sky in Abu Dhabi as Merck has gone round. Or someone. No, it's the Aston Martin of Manson. Oh, he's lost a hell of a lot of the front wing as well. I don't believe that's going to warrant a safety car. It's very much off the racing line. Well, good there. Agnote, can he try to get to Owa here? No, not quite. So, anyways, hopefully nothing will interrupt me this time. What I was going to say is Reimer again. I think, you know, being the competitor that he is, I think he'll be slightly disappointed with second place in the championship. But he's absolutely deserved it, and he can have his head held high because he has done a hell of a job this season, as he does every season in any league that I see him, as the two Mercedes inverting positions. Now, I think he ought to be proud of the races and the success that he has had this season. And Soxy, I'll say this again, as Soxy tries to make his move around Angry Walrus. Soxy might just be probably one of the quickest drivers I've ever seen in any F1 sim racing. Of course, I've been around since, September of 2020. I've been around multiple games, multiple leagues, and Soxy, I think, is definitely up there top 3 of anybody I've ever casted. This guy, super, super quick. I will say, though, King Pro Player has thoroughly impressed me today. That's for sure. I think that guy could very well come for that crown next season. Let's just put it that way. I think he could absolutely have a look. If he does stay in the elites here, if he chooses to, I think he could absolutely have a run for the championship next time round. Owa missing a lot of his front wing. I think Merck is going to be kind of getting around the Red Bull, not necessarily with ease, as they're both going to be struggling with downforce and braking here, but at least for the time being, they'll know that they have the battle between themselves. Again, Soxy and Angry Walrus, this is purely the battle for the lead here. It's 5.5, 6/10 of a second as they make their way down the stretch, heading in towards turn 6 and 7. As we are getting in, once again, to the business end of this Grand Prix now. Not a lot of laps left. Reimer's gotten ahead of King Pro Player. King Pro is, I think, he's not even stopped. He's really trying to go to the end on those hard tires, and I think the question is if there's a safety car that comes out, who's going to decide to stop? Who's going to decide to take the risk and, put on some new tires, and maybe will they have the advantage going into the final lengths of the Grand Prix? 2.5 of a second. Walrus back to Soxy, looking through turns 8, 10, 11, and 12. Kato a 3-second penalty. He's up to 6. I think Angry Walrus has just hit the bollard there, going on the inside of 13. Latifi corner 14. A bit of a slide on the way out. As we have Merck and Owa side by side, making their way heading towards turn number 9. Good little battle happening now, still wheel to wheel on the way into the corner. Owa is probably going to be pushing high here with his damage that he does have. I think, Merck and Owa both facing similar struggles at the moment, trying to keep the car within line and, keep them out of each other's way, because, with the wing damage that they do have, obviously the cars are going to be less responsive, they're going to be less good in the way of braking, so, fun battles happening there. I hope it doesn't end poorly between the two. Out of turn 5 yet again. Walrus behind Soxy only just by a little bit. Oh, but look at this. Bit of a lift there from Walrus. I don't know. Is he saving some fuel? He's using DRS. I don't know. He is definitely using a lot of lift and coast now, as we can see. I think maybe is he applying the pressure as much as he can to Soxy, trying his best, just making Soxy aware that he's in his presence. Walrus, I think if he plays some good mind games here and he catches Soxy out by surprise, could really have himself a position to, really take the win of the Grand Prix. We'll have to wait and see. At the line this time will be 7 laps to go in this very entertaining 100% distance Abu Dhabi Grand Prix. 3.5 of a second the gap as they make their way through 15 and 16 coming up here. 0.3 of a second still. Anyotse getting into the inside of Curveball. He'll have that move into turn 9. Nicely done for the Ferrari. Kato, 0.5 of a second back to Charlie Golf. Charlie Golf has had himself a busy day so far today. Had a bit of an incident with Osmanian Devil. He's, tell you what, had to fight through some adversity today. He is down 3 positions, but to still manage a top 6, maybe even a top 5 if he can find a way to claw back 0.3 of a second to get around DWCJ's 3-second penalty. That'd be a huge effort for Charlie Golf. Down the back straight they go. Let's see, does Walrus lift again this time? Yeah, you can see he's not really concerned with sending it and trying to take this position. He saved up all of his battery that he possibly could. In fairness, Soxy's done exactly the same. But now, Angry Walrus overtake being used. DRS activated for the Aston Martin and around the outside. And well before they get to turn 9, Angry Walrus has now given himself the lead of the Grand Prix. 6 laps to go at the line this time by as a yellow flag coming out of turn 5. Something has gone wrong. Curveball is in the wall. It appears that the car is at least in one piece. The track stays green. He is missing a little bit of the front wing on the right side. Well, almost gets into the back of Merck there. Well, bit of an off there for curveball, it seems, but the track stays green. Surely not going to have another Nicholas Latifi moment now. I tell you what, if another safety car or virtual safety car does happen, well, it's interesting because Reimer at that point would probably still finish ahead of Soxy, but with everybody else having penalty, I don't think Soxy would lose too many position. No, it's an interesting... He'd lose it to Reimer, he'd lose it to King Pro Player, he'd lose it to Charlie Golf. Yeah, I tell you what, Soxy better hope another safety car doesn't come out here, because if it does, Reimer could absolutely, especially if Soxy stays behind Angry Walrus, that will be a massive, massive, not fun time for the Williams, that's for sure. Owa getting around curveball on the way into the first corner. A little surprised we're seeing some moves through that first corner. Typically we won't. There's no DRS down the pit straight. It's not necessarily like a corner that you're going to see, you know, moves be made from, aside from off the line. At the line this time will be 5 laps to go. 5 laps between Soxy and a championship. Whether it be he winning the race or Angry Walrus winning the race, we have yet to find out. Or potentially someone else. Could a safety car happen and spoil the party for Soxy and allow Reimer into the picture to be able to take the championship? Again, for winning a Grand Prix, 37 points. For finishing second, 30 points. Reimer will need to finish at least, I think, 2 positions ahead of Soxy. Oh! Could this be it? Charlie Golf has gone around somewhere along the line, and I think, well, he not even lost any front wing. Goodness me, well, the heart rate has surely jumped up about 50 beats per minute there. There's no other way to say that. At the line this time, 4 laps to go. And I think for Soxy, has undoubtedly been one of the best drivers we've seen this season. Well, I'll tell you what, if he wins the championship, he absolutely will be. There's just no other way to say that. We'll go round by round. Soxy. I mean, this guy... wins 5 times out of the 11 rounds. Second once, third once. 7 top 5s. 8 top 10s. Has only DNF'd 1 time. As far as Reimer is concerned, has won twice, second place 4 times. And I think that's where we're kind of seeing how Reimer gets into this battle. 7 top 5s, 9 top 10s. No DNF for Reimer, although has picked up a fastest lap somewhere along the line. I mean, really, only other driver to actually win a race that season was that of Johnny Damon, who's won twice, although Johnny Damon far back in the table. He's DNF'd 3 times this season. Third most of anybody, behind only that of Shiesty, and I think that of Hemphead as well. Soxy, I mean, again, should he win this championship tonight, will have absolutely deserved it. Reimer, should he finish second, I think should be proud of what he's accomplished this season. Again, Soxy, far and away one of the quickest drivers I've ever seen. Reimer in that conversation as well, let's not forget. But I was rather taken by surprise with how quick this Williams is. You know, rather burst onto the scene. He's got 0.2 of a second between himself and Walrus. The line this time will be 3 to go. Oh, look at this! Well, I thought he was going to go 4th there on Walrus. Once again, at the line this time, 3 laps to go for Soxy. And I think we're at the point now where even if there is a virtual safety car or a crash, there won't be a full safety car for it unless it's a really, like, in-and-out safety car. And that sort of thing doesn't happen, you know, all too often. Next closest battle, curveball back to Owa. Owa still missing some wing, as well as curveball for that matter. It's half a second between the two. as they make their way through turn number 9. He's going to have a look to the inside. I don't believe he's going to simply find the grip to be able to do it, the downforce. Exiting turn 5. Down the straight they go, heading for turns 6 and 7. Half a second now between Curveball and Owa. The only other close battle on track for the time being, as everybody else has kind of settled down, it seems, ready to just get this race to its conclusion. Walrus does lead Soxy, half a second. Not really in position for the time being to be able to close down on the Aston Martin. I think Soxy maybe just saving it up for the time being. You can see Walrus has had to use it either in attack or defense, his energy store I'm talking about. Whereas Soxy has saved up the entirety of his battery, 100%. Walrus is not that far off. He's about, what does that say, 70-something? 73? Good guess. 73%. I think Soxy does not need to really panic. 2 laps to go. Though I think he would absolutely like to win this race. That would definitely be the cherry on top to the season that he's had. Reimer, it seems, will be finishing in 3rd. 10 seconds, almost 11 seconds behind, is Charlie Golf now picking up 3-second penalty. Bit of a slide there at a turn 5 for Soxy. Didn't look as if he got the acceleration that he would have wanted. Curveball, 9/10 of a second behind Owa as they begin the 57th lap of this Grand Prix. But about now, just like a lap and a half to go at most. Oh, big slide for Soxy, my God. Oh, Soxy, someone check the white overalls he's wearing. They might be a shade of brown now. That one was very close. So through 15 and 16 for the penultimate time. Final lap of the Grand Prix about to be underway. Soxy's gone wide at turn 16. Thankfully, it's not resulted in any additional penalty. Final lap of the Grand Prix underway. Soxy is just a few kilometers away from being crowned champion of CCRL Elite Tier. But the question is, will he try to take Angry Walrus in the process? Through turn 5, a little bit of slippage on the back end. I don't think he's going to be able to get away well enough to take him this time. 7/10 of a second, still trying his best to close in. On the way into the 6 and 7 chicane, Walrus has got a healthy advantage on him at the moment. I think this next time by, heading through turn 9, another big slide there for Sox. I think heading in through turn 9 is going to be really his final attempt. 27 lap old hard tires. Look, King Pro player, 38 laps. DRS activated battery being used, but I don't think he's going to get there. Not for the time being, at least. Now, this is where he had his hiccup last time. And as they make their way through Sector 3 for the final time, Soxy, it has to be said, once again, a fantastic driver. Quickest of the bunch several times this season. Absolutely deserves all the wins he's gotten, all the podiums, all the memorable moments, all the spoils of what he's about to achieve here. Angry Walrus will win the Grand Prix, but it's Soxy in the Williams, champion of the Elite Tier. Absolutely hats off to him and all that he's been able to accomplish. Reimer making his way out of turn 6 now. 2nd place in the championship for him. Do not take that as a bad thing, Reimer. You have absolutely earned your share of the spoils as well. It must be bittersweet, but you have absolutely earned a bit of praise for that. He will finish 3rd in today's race. King Pro player will finish 4th. And let me tell you something. I think we very well could find an outright 3-car battle for that championship next year. Next season. Soxy, Reimer, King Pro player. 3 of the quickest cars on track. Angry Walrus as well. Don't forget about him. Tell you what. If I'm the league organizers, we're going to have ourselves a healthy battle for the championship next year as Sepulveda, Owa, and Curveball all battling to the line here. Sepulveda, it's actually going to be Owa taking the 10th spot. Sepulveda 11th, 12th is Curveball. R. Manson coming through the final stages of the lap now. Angry Walrus, your winner. Soxy, second. Reimer, third. Soxy, your champion. And on behalf of all of us here at the CCRL, thank you so much for tagging along with us this season, Hotspot. It has been an absolute pleasure joining you here, and I hope to be again and see you guys soon. Congratulations to Soxy. Second place in the race today. First place in the championship. Absolutely deserved.